Well, good evening to all of you joining us this Monday, June the 2nd. We're into the second day of June already. The month is trying to just fly by so quickly, and we want to welcome all of you that are joining us tonight. Shirley and Chantel, Diana Husbands, and Shirley and Flojo Maloney, Mildred Ben, Queen D, great to have you again with us on the show tonight. Taroni Hall. Taroni, thank you so much for your kind words and the contribution that you made the other night. Tremendous stuff. Really great to hear from you young people and to know that our future's in such good hands. Marcia Miller and Vernon Garnes, good evening. And Judy, our faithful Judy, good evening to you. Monica Ince as well. We want to welcome all of you. It's my honor and privilege to be back again with you this evening. And we're going to have another tremendous show. We are looking forward to a great night. I'm not going to tell you too much because there's some surprises that are shortly going to make their way into your view. But we're going to be looking forward to a tremendous night. And I know you, Marcia, you're going to keep me on my toes. I see we're up to 110 at the moment. And I know you're going to keep me on my toes when it comes to that national anthem and that national pledge. I know you're going to do that. So I'm looking forward to that. Chantel Williams, good evening to you as well. Sir Alfred Benjamin, it's always great to see you locked on from Brooklyn, New York. Yesterday, I think we had somebody from Greece. And I was amazed that they were on and listening to all that was happening in the show. Really appreciated that. And several of the others that were on last night from around the world. M. Gardner, great to have you. Shirley, not yet 200. I see that, Marcia. You'll give me that. You'll give me that cue. I know that. I know that. But it's great to have every single one of you. And already, as I said, the month is running by. They tell us that this is the month. This is the month of the start of the hurricane season. But we are going to pray, and we're going to pray that God preserves this country. We're grateful for what the Meteorological Office issued in terms of their warnings and sensitivities and all of that. But we're grateful as well that the Lord continues to look over this country and to guard this country. Yes, Marcia, I see we're up over 200 now, and I believe Dave is in the back room with me tonight. And we're looking forward to a great night with him. I really want to shout out Dave. He's been such an asset to the show, putting on so many of those clips and different things he does. I tried it last night, but I cannot. I just simply cannot match that gentleman. He's just really, really good at that stuff, and maybe one day I'll learn. But anyhow, 233, Dave. You know we're going to go with the national anthem. We're up to 233. So, sir, just let it rip and let us honor our country at the very beginning of this show. God bless you all as we go into
Oh
You know, almost every time I hear that national anthem, almost every time I hear that national anthem, I at times feel as if there is something I need to say amen about. You know, it's a tremendous, tremendous declaration that we are making through that national anthem. And you know, with all that we've been hearing, and and I'm going to come to that in a second. But with all we've been hearing, we need to pay attention to our heritage. Okay, and I'll touch on that in just a few moments. But of course, we always follow up the national anthem with the national pledge. And I know Dave will always get that up there for me for you to be able to view it and recite it with me. So, shall we say our national pledge of Barbados together? I pledge allegiance to my country, Barbados, and to my flag, to uphold and defend their honor, and by my living to do credit to my nation wherever I go. And that's the pledge I make. I have pledged more to my country and to my flag than I pledged to any political party. I've been a member of the Barbados Labour Party. I have run in 2022 for the APP, and I am not a member of the Democratic Labour Party, contrary to what some people may think, just because we are members of the loyal opposition. We are an apolitical group here, and if we synergize with things that the opposition party synergizes with in the terms of what we have to say, well, then that is the case. But we are not here necessarily promoting any particular party. But there are questions that are being asked by the opposition, by the leader of the opposition, that are consequential questions and that are necessary to be answered. We are engaging some aspects where people seem to want to disrespect the heritage that we have as a country. But listen to what the national anthem says. Our brave forefathers sowed the seed from which our pride is sprung. That includes persons like Sir Grantley Adams, and I don't know the names of all the members of cabinet back in those days, but it includes persons like Sleepy Smith, and it includes persons like Errol Barrow, and it includes persons like Sir Henry Ford and Vic Johnson and Louis Tull. And these are our forefathers that have established foundations and good foundations when you look at what we as a country have produced. Even our current prime minister owes her entire existence today and all the knowledge and information and expertise she has while she has educated herself. She owes that to the forefathers and to the foundations that they established. We must never disrespect our heritage. We must honor our heritage. And yes, the song goes on to tell us that we are not only strict guardians and ought to be strict guardians of our heritage, but we ought to be firm craftsmen of our faith. In other words, while we thank God for what we have accomplished as a country, what our forefathers have accomplished, what previous administrations, prime ministers, and governments have done, we are charting a course forward. But that must never be at the disrespect and dishonor of what we have experienced in terms of our past. And we must never allow that to happen. And so tonight we want to respect that. I have heard several things expressed, you know, by our current prime minister and by one of the senators. And I don't even want to get into commenting where that specific senator is concerned. I really would just prefer to ignore that, because if that senator, from what we expressed last night, is a Methodist minister, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for the Methodist Church. I'm embarrassed for ministers across the nation to see the way this individual would conduct themselves. And I can tell you, as a minister, I would never conduct myself in public like that, because I represent God. I represent the Christian faith, and I believe that there's a degree of respect that I have to maintain in terms of how people view me, how people view my faith. Now, I can behave one way at home, and if you talk with my family at home, they may tell you a different story. But that must not be seen outside of my home, where people are then questioning the God that I serve and the faith that I have because of my attitudes and conduct. And that's why I have taken that position. All right. So I know I'm having a little bit of a internet delay with me here, but I hope you're still seeing me and hearing me. But I can assure you that this is not AI. This is actually me. Okay. I know we had Taroni on. I think it was Taroni that came on one night, and he spoke to us with regards to that and how to identify those things to know when something is AI or not. But I am authentic. I don't know that AI can replicate Ferdinand in any way, shape, or form because I'm a peculiar and unique individual and weird in some instances. But anyhow, we leave that for another time. And listen, I have the distinct pleasure of sharing the platform with me tonight. I was almost tempted to say Dr. Marcia Weeks because at this time, to be honest, she should be honored for all of the work that she has accomplished. That's where my doctorate is. I've been honored by my organization, the AUGP USA, for all the work that I've done in ministry. But I want to welcome Marcia to the show tonight. Again, we have a pleasure of sharing together. I think we did this just about a week ago. And my goodness, look at how dead and I look compared to that. Uh, Help me, please. I need a theory. Thank you, Judith. Somebody help me, please. Get some colorful clothes that I can this lady. Good evening, Marcia. It's so nice to have you back. And I know
Yes.
you have a ton of things to share with us tonight. So welcome to co-hosting with me tonight.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ferdinand. And I want to just first of all thank you that and the entire team that we have great people here
Oh
that
yes. Oh
that
yes.
can jump in and to make it happen. And thank you for filling in for last night,
My honor.
for
My
me,
honor.
and for the amazing team that was with
Oh yeah.
you. And I mean, we just have a great team, and yes, we do love each other. We might not agree all the time, right, Dr. Purdy?
Well, that's a family for you. Our family doesn't agree on everything, but they still remain
Yes,
family.
but I'm back in from Dominica. Some people might not have known that I went to Dominica. We did do a little post and said, that we were going to Dominica, but I got back in at 2:10 p.m. this afternoon.
Oh,
And
I thought you were going to say
I
2:10 this morning. Oh
but
my goodness.
listen, and I'm seeing people on, if you just would just permit me to thank the people who made the trip
Please,
possible.
please.
Before we go any further, we have to always say thank you. Well, when these rappers are giving thanks, they always say thanks to, their heavenly Father.
Let's just
But
start there.
but really, I mean, I want to thank God because it was
Yes.
just an idea
Hmm.
that came in my head when we were on the show on Friday night. I don't know if you had seen that show, Dr.
Yes.
Ferdy.
Yes. Yes,
And
I did.
how many of you were on tonight? Saw the show. All the viewers. I want to thank the viewers who joined in last night on the show as well, and who you're always on. Thank you so very much. Dr. Ferdinand would have mentioned you all. Missed you all. We did try to watch the show, but the internet where we were staying, went off. So we saw the beginning and we saw the very end, and all the hosts were happy and laughing, but we didn't get the gist, all of the show. We got pieces of the show. But I and we saw that people were on and commenting, and without the viewers, Dr. Ferdinand, we don't have a show.
That's right. And you'll probably be happy to know we had I think we got up to about 1,021 or something like that last night. We had a good response, a good viewing last night, not only here, but on YouTube. When I checked YouTube, we were up to about 1,000, a 1K. I saw them show there. So we had a good viewing last night.
Yes, wonderful. That is awesome. Folks, we thank you. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. We
Yes.
thank you so very much. And I can't can't stop saying thank you. Everything we do it selflessly for you, Barbados. And guess what, Dr. Ferdinand? They are you spotting the lights. We spotted the light. Uh, I need to get my mine too. And we do it selflessly for Barbados, and the people are responding. And and so we thank you, because I just said it on here. I said, after the Dominicans started to call in, and I said, I think it would be so wonderful if I could go down to Dominica. And guess what? By the morning, somebody messaged me and said, Marcia, I want to, a loyal opposition member said, I want to help. And then the message I said, somebody else wants to help. And then the message I said, somebody else wants to help.
Wow.
And then, the whole thing comes together. And myself and Michelle, who is from the diaspora, visiting Barbados at the time. And so I said, Michelle, I don't want to go by myself, would you come with me, because Dave had work. And so we went together to Dominica. So I want to thank the loyal opposition. I thank you. I thank you. You listen, you catch the vision, and you make it happen. And every single one of you watching tonight, we want to say a big, big, big thank you to you. While we say thank you, we're going to give them work, Dr. Ferdinand, for them to
Yes.
like and share. Have you liked and share? Because we do it together. We could not have gone to Dominica without your help. And we can't do the show without your help. We need you to like and to share. And we also want to thank the people in Dominica who made sure once we landed, Dr. Ferdinand, there were people at the airport to meet us.
Wow.
Yes. We want to thank our driver, Hawkins. We just know him as Mr. Hawkins. I mean, hospitality. And he was there, to drive us to our destination. But even before we got to the airport, Dominica Airport, there were people here, staff from the airport in Barbados. And I go, Mr. Dr. Ferdinand, you go somewhere, everybody's going to say, we're watching the show, etc.
Yes.
So I was going through security, and this guy says to me that I have to make sure that I call his name. Oh my goodness, Michelle, if you're listening, okay, I have it. Okay. And he says, you have to call my name on the show because I watch you almost every night. But at first he didn't know who I was. He didn't recognize me until he thought that the liquid I had in my bag was, more than it's supposed to be. And what it was really, I had it here and I think I moved it, was a bottle that I mixed up some garlic and, for my throat and honey. And so I'm like, I'm not traveling without this. And he thought that it was, over the three ounces. I didn't think so. It was, more. There's a little bit of honey in it, and so I started to protest. Okay, and he said, I saw him dressed back like that, and he changed his demeanor, and he said, I know you. I said, you know me? He said, I know your voice. I said, oh,
yes.
Okay. And usually I would just say, okay, I okay, probably from somewhere. But this time, I'm trying to get a help. So I said, you mean from the show? He said, yes, I watch that show every night. But he didn't give me, can I tell you, he did not give me he didn't give me a free pass. He called his supervisor. All right. So when the supervisor came, and that's the truth, Michelle could tell you, so don't go away and say, I use the show and they let me go through with whatever. But the supervisor came, and you know what the supervisor told me? To drink the thing in front of them. So I had to take off I had to take it off, and I had to turn it to my head. And she said, okay, if you could drink it, go through. And so that's how I went through. But then he called me back. He said, make sure you mention my name on the show. I'm going to listen. So I want to hail up Ronald's Knight. He works at G4S in airport security. Ronald Knight, I'm saying a big hello to you. I'm not saying thank you because it didn't do me any favors, but you just wanted me, you just want me to hail you up. So I hail up Ronald Knight and listen, the thank you going on so long. But Rosette John Charles in so when we got to the house, it was Rosette John Charles who she made sure, that we had something to eat. And all the land of spices, so we got enough good cooking food. And there's Nicholas George, and I want to say thank you, Nicholas George, is who got the ball rolling with the Dominicans, who found the show and shared it with others. There is, I'm leaving one person for last, but there's Mr. and Mrs. Burton, who we had lunch at their house yesterday, and we're going to see them on screen tonight. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And there is Vidal, Mr. Vidal, listen, Leary St. John. Am I mixing it all up? But thank you all so much. There's a Leary St. John, and there's a Mr. and Mrs. Burton, and there's a Vidal. And we want to say thank you to everybody. And the man that took us all around the community for hours, Hector John. Take a bow. And
Thank you, Hector, for looking after
yes,
Marcia.
and Hector, I believe Hector is in the comment section.
Well, I see a Delia Weeks tuned in from Dominica tonight.
Yes,
Yes.
Delia Weeks. Delia, no, she's a namesake that I didn't get to meet. Okay. I guess you have her up. Delia,
Yeah.
good night. And I'm seeing your picture. We didn't get to meet, but we had a fantastic conversation. And thank you for all the good wishes that you gave us, Delia. And we're going to have lots of chats. I know that very much. Hector, did you see anybody else was on? But I sure saw Hector.
I am seeing Jerry Nelson, also in from Dominica. He's on tonight from Dominica as well.
Yes, somebody want join in from St. Lucia. Anthony Mondesir from St. Lucia is on.
Yeah, I'm looking through to see who we have. Oh wow, oh wow, this is so wonderful. This is definitely a CARICOM show. This is a authentic CARICOM folk, the real deal. Yes, this is the real deal. Just check in to see Hector John. Hector John is also on. Good night from Salisbury, Dominica. Welcome, Hector. A pleasure to have you joining us tonight from Dominica. Marcia, I believe you'll probably have a lot of Dominican friends joining us tonight who are a little probably upset that you returned so quickly.
It's everybody welcoming them, and the important thing, Dr. Ferdinand, why Leonard John. So I got the names mixed up. Thank you so much, Hector, for
Leonard, yes.
correcting me there. And it's Salisbury. We had in the banner, we had the wrong name. It's not Salis. We had a G on the end. It's Salisbury, a wonderful, wonderful town there in Dominica. And I want to say a big shout out to everyone living there, all 3,000 people who treated us with such kindness and warmth, and they were willing to speak with us about about their what happened there, which we're going to go into a bit tonight.
During the show. Well, we even have somebody joining us from Greece, Shirley Marcia, joining us from
Yes.
Greece, 2 o'clock in the morning, joining us from Greece. Welcome again, Shirley. Bless you. Bless you. Wow. Wow.
Wonderful. So we continue
Oh
to
my
ask everybody to
goodness.
like and share. Like and share. And Dominica is a beautiful place. Have you been there, Dr.
Yes, we've
Ferdinand?
done a couple of we've done a couple of crusades there. I remember one we did back in the days of Eugenia Charles. We've done none subsequent to her presidency, but we did a couple back there. Oh goodness, I don't recall the years, but that's the first place I had mountain chicken. That's the first place I ate mountain chicken. and it was delicious. It reminded me of bantam fowls here in Barbados, and then I got to see what Moncton chicken actually was, and I did not vomit. I was very happy to consume those lovely chicken-looking legs
Oh
that I
Lord.
had.
No,
Absolutely delicious.
yes, yes,
Uh,
no, no, not at all. Here's Michelle saying, "Hi, Dominica. Thank you so much for your hospitality." As I said, Michelle, another loyal opposition, and myself, we were in Dominica, and the trip was well worth it. I tell you, we've learned so much. It's so much. I sat my husband down today. I said, "You have to give me a little bit of your time from work. I just needed to offload, you know."
Wonderful.
And so I'm happy to be back. What's on your mind, Dr. Ferdinand? We're waiting for our first guest, which, after which we're going to show some of the interviews from Dominica. But go right into it, Dr.
Well,
Ferdinand.
Marcia, I've just been monitoring the whole aspect of how the government has been treating to our heritage, and looking back at the contributions of persons in such a manner that one would want to believe that everything begins with this administration. And I think people need to be
Dr.
reminded.
Ferdy, Dr. Ferdy,
Mhm.
can I
Yeah,
suggest that if you go out and come back in, you might get a
a
better,
better.
yeah,
Okay, let me do that.
your
Let me do that.
yeah, try and because the internet is live, it's a live show. Just go out of the studio completely. Completely go out of the studio. But let's look at just Dr. Purdy, go completely out of the studio. Don't just turn off the camera. If you can hear me, yeah. But Dave, this is you're showing a little bit of Dominica. Yeah, so this is a little bit here of Dominica that we are showing you folks. And this place is just beautiful, simply beautiful. And we did try our best to capture some things for you, and it is just beautiful. Some of this is stock footage that we're showing you. If you have not been to Dominica, we were told that there are 365 rivers that they have there in Dominica. And we there was even a river right next to the airport. Right next to the airport, there was a river there. And this place is stunning. It's like a garden, a real garden. And it's a place that you could go to rest. And I think that it's just so beautiful, really beautiful. The natural isle, correct, guys. We have an amazing show for you tonight, but we need you to share. We need you to stop what you're doing a little bit, and and please like and share. Please like and share. We need you to do that. Okay. Wonderful. Had great cuisine, but and you have the Atlantic part of of Dominica, and then you have the Caribbean, Atlantic Sea, and the Caribbean Sea, which is this is with the Caribbean Sea, which you're going to see that it's calmer. Well, we're going to go right into our next guest, because I see that Dr. Ferdinand is trying to make it in again. But let us go to our first guest, Mr. Mark Simmons. Good night, Mark. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Good night, Marcia. Thank you very much for having me on the show. I'm always very keen to hear the discussion, hear the various views, and to learn from you guys.
Yes, I mean it's a privilege having you on, and those who of you might forget who Mark is, which you can't forget Mark. If you were at the whole town march where we had that love march in a whole town, that was dubbed a love march by Mark himself. You can't forget Mark. Mark was just giving us a history of whole town on the truck, and he is one of the founding members, and I guess one of the directors of the whole town civic. That's his whole town
Whole Town
civic,
Chamber of Whole Town
whole town
Chamber of Trade,
chamber
which is
of
our local.
commerce.
Yes,
Yes,
which is our
yes.
local chamber of commerce.
Yes, and tonight, sir, we're happy to have you on. And for a few minutes, just before we go into you know, what we learned about Dominica and the similarities between politics in Dominica and Barbados and Mia Motley and Skerritt. We're gonna get into all of that. Brundle Stewart, and you know it's gonna get juicy after this. But this what we're doing here is also a very very important point. But we're gonna have all of that coming up after Mark. Mark, tonight you want to talk about awards in Barbados and how we recognize people in Barbados. And so we're going to ask you to take it away.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Marcia. This really came about because on April 24th, I think it was, I was reading the newspaper and it wasn't front page. I think maybe the third or fourth page in, there was an article that explained the Barbados government had just passed legislation that all future prime ministers will receive the nation's highest award after one term in office. Okay. And so it stuck out to me as almost like self-praise. And I'm sure it's well-intentioned, just that for me, it creates several problems. Not least of which that any prime minister in the Barbadian context or the Caribbean context almost automatically is a divisive figure. Most Caribbean politicians don't come on stage and praise the other side or whatever. It's always about some salacious information, who was a thief, who embezzled, who was corrupt, who was incompetent, et cetera, et cetera. And so in the Caribbean, political lines are fairly hard drawn. So it's hard for me to see. It would have to be, not that it's impossible, but it would have to be an extremely grounded and heart-centered person who, as prime minister, unifies people behind a common vision to accept, to understand, even if you don't always agree, at least to create a harmony and a mutual respect, right? Mm-hmm. I have not really seen that I'm only 57 years old, but I have not seen that in many prime ministers or many political figures in the Caribbean or in the world for that matter. Okay. So it becomes problematic in that regard. Secondly, if you were to say currently who wins the nation's highest award, usually it's given to someone who is given public service as, whether it's a coach, a teacher, somebody in agriculture, maybe somebody in the foreign service, 30, 40 years in service, dedicated to raising the children, to teaching music, to empowering and disciplining people, to teach them discipline and so on and so forth. Somebody who is, or volunteered at every single sports games for the last 30 years. Somebody's totally selfless. There are many people in Barbados like that. And so when you then tell me that this person spent a whole life giving, not running and losing an election or, trying to win votes, but they were actually on the ground, often with no recognition, little pay, investing their time in the youth, in the community. However broad you want to call the community and whatever age group you want to apply to the youth, they would have sacrificed themselves for the development of others. Mm-hmm. So I do not see how a prime minister does that on a broad scale, especially in the Caribbean context where there's so much nepotism, there's so many political appointees, people who have no skill. I mean, like in the ministries in which this practice is rife are numerous to mention. Okay, so in the Caribbean context, in the political context, votes are important. Prime ministers and ministers often give out jobs without any merit whatsoever. And so I just think that this is going down the wrong path. Like I said, I'm sure it's well-intentioned. Being a prime minister or being a leader of any country very often is a thankless job. It's a very tough job. Being a minister is a very tough job. Being a permanent secretary is a very tough job. And you deserve recognition. I am just not sure if giving yourself the recognition is the best way to do it, and if it fosters a sense of confidence, a sense of democracy, a sense of truth. And so it really reminds me, I don't know, I think one of the things that I used to lament was that Animal Farm is still being taught in schools in Barbados. The book is so old. When I found out my daughter was studying the book, I called my dad. I was like, Dad, do you believe this thing is being still taught? He says, really? Well, I read that book when I was in upper sixth at Harrison College. So my dad, in 1953, read Animal Farm in sixth form.
Yes.
In 1968, I read it in first form. All right. In 2000,
and I read it in Harrison College in 1970 something, 69, 70.
Right, there you go. So now it's a great book. We can't deny that. But there are more modern books, more modern writers who can discuss the same subject in a slightly different context that will be more appealing to the youth. And I think that has to do with books in general. Now, in these discussions with my friends, they were like, some of them were like, man, that's a classic, never get rid of that. And some of them were like, yeah, you're right, we need to change. But ironically, here it is in 2025, the very principle, I believe, of Animal Farm is being presented to us. Remember that is that famous quote that we are all equal, but some more equal than others. So how is it? And once again, I believe this is all well-intentioned. I don't believe anyone is setting out to do something bad. You know what I mean? I don't believe that ever. There's always a good reason behind even bad actions or actions that don't make sense or whatever, okay? Was the saying that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? So here it is then. We've gotten rid of the monarchy. Theoretically, we've gotten rid of knighthood and so on. So definitely anybody who is in power in Barbados won't get a knighthood, which was at one time the most prestigious title you could have as a person of the Commonwealth. So is it then that we're creating something else for ourselves and attributing it without specific merit to whoever sits in this seat? It almost creating another class of nobility. These are the special people. They're so special. You know, like it doesn't smell right. It doesn't feel right. It feels as if there should be a different approach, a greater meritocracy, a board, a period of waiting, some sort of committee that decides these things. Yes, the prime minister can be up for the award. Should it be automatic after 5 years? I don't believe so. And especially after the first term, you've hardly got to do anything in your first term. There's very little you can do as prime minister in the first 5 years that will completely revolutionize your country and transform its fortunes to a higher level. It's very little you can do. You still have people, at least let's say maybe 40% of the country voted against you in any healthy economy. So in the Barbadian context, those 40 would have been ridiculed. They've been pushed aside. You're nothing. And then in the Barbadian context, once your party gets into power, well, all the sweets for me. I'm going to get all the jobs. I'm going to get all the positions, all the contracts. I don't know. Somebody can help me with that, a dissenting voice. Somebody to show me, oh, Mark, you're not looking at this aspect. When I combine that with our declining customer service rating and our declining ease of business rating, and then you're going to compliment the people and the person who is most responsible for us to perform higher.
Yes.
Let's just say, and this is not personal, let's just say that the current prime minister was to get this award. Many good things have been done. Yet, when you look at the whole, just on those two indicators alone, customer service has decreased and the ease of doing business has decreased. On those two scales alone, the highest national award would have to say, no, we have not performed. If we were a company, our profits did not go up, our revenues did not go up, our balance of payments did not go down, our indebtedness has increased. So therefore, why would whoever was the prime minister at that time, A, B, D, C, or F, whatever party they were representing, whoever the prime minister was, if they were in a situation like that, after 5 years, the country had performed like that, they would still get the highest national award? It doesn't make sense to me. And I would love somebody to help me understand it.
Yeah.
Well, I would hope, Marcia, that there's some national standard or criteria that would merit a person receiving an award, even a prime minister for that matter. I mean, you have Nobel Peace Prizes, for example, that are awarded to presidents of the United States and leaders of different countries, but there is a criteria that must be met in order for that Nobel Peace Prize to be awarded.
Correct. And what is also very interesting is that those presidents and leaders don't give themselves the award.
No. No.
We are giving ourselves the award.
Mark, Mark, you said that so innocently. I mean, that is so loaded. That is so obvious. But let me continue. Listen, but I had to laugh out. Go ahead, Mark. Mark, you're sticking. Is it me or is it Mark? Is he stuck?
Yeah, he is stuck at the moment. But again, Marcia, I look at myself in terms of my affiliation with the organization that appointed me to the position that I currently hold, and I did not award myself my doctrinal.
Hold a second there. Mark, can you just want to make sure the guest is comfortable? Mark, Can you go out and come back in? Mark, if you're hearing me, and you can leave we want to hear what you have to say. So I'm going to ask you to leave and to come back in. I know he has a birthday and so, his kids are taking him out for dinner. But if we hear what Mark is saying, I mean, sorry, you were saying something, Dr. Ferdinand.
That's fine. No, I was just making the point that the award that I've received, my doctorate that I've received, I didn't award myself that. That was awarded to me by an international organization that recognized the contribution I have made to the Christian community and the Christian message throughout the Caribbean for the last 40-something years. I didn't award myself that. That's ridiculous. There must be some criteria, Marcia, that we have enshrined within the constitution of the country that determines that.
I'm not
good
sure.
Yes. Okay, he's back. He's back. Yeah. So let's thank you, Dr. Ferdinand, for that. A good example. Yes, go right ahead, Mark. Go ahead and continue your conversation, your contribution. He's having some challenges there.
It seems it's not necessarily Mia Motley who says highest national honor for future PMs after the first term. The government did vote on it. I don't, and as far as the legislation goes, the current prime minister will not receive the award. As far as the legislation goes, the current prime minister will not. Now, I am not sure if that was based on the fact that the prime minister was only intended to run for 2 terms. So now we have the prime minister running for a 3rd term. So I'm not sure how that works then if she is now eligible for this highest award. However, be that as it may, she was specifically excluded from this, for many good reasons, I'm sure. And so this is something for future prime ministers, all right? So I don't want to
I have a question for you. I mean, you were talking about service, and I think somebody made a comment about teachers. And what do you think of teachers? It's with teachers and the kind of sacrifice that they make in any country, and and the pay that they receive when when you look at it and you compare it. I mean, I can understand that you try to give some of these highest honor to somebody who's serving in that kind of way. What about our teachers?
Correct. Literally building your nation. And really and truly, around the world, teachers are not given the respect and honor they're due. Teaching and learning and teaching is actually the highest function you could perform on this planet, because as such, you're expanding your consciousness and or you're helping somebody to expand their consciousness. So expanding consciousness is the very essence of being, right? Being, doing, being. So if you're talking about honors, 100%, are our teachers receiving high awards, high national awards, the highest national award? Have we Googled this? I should be more proactive. Who has received Barbados's highest national award?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, as Dr. Ferdinand just wrote, that they have their place. But I think Mark is raising some very important points here, because after a third term, if it becomes automatic that after a first term that you should get an award, it's almost like you get an award for showing up, a highest honor for showing up.
It's the highest honor. The highest honor.
So you don't have to show any major success or any achievements or anything.
No,
it's just be there.
Just get voted in. Just get voted in. So that means then that, theoretically speaking, okay, let's go to the next election. One party, in Barbados, money wins elections. So one party has $1 million to spend. The other party has $100,000 to spend. So because you got $1 million to spend, you get to be the prime minister, which means that you'll get the nation's highest award. There's something that doesn't fit, guys. I don't know. Maybe I'm an old fuddy duddy. Maybe I'm too conservative.
Let's hear. But Mark, we have some Dominicans on, and we have some St. Lucians on, Dr. Ferdinand. Yeah. If you're going to help me manage the chat, I want to hear their thoughts about this. In Dominica, is this what happens in Dominica, that after the first term of a prime minister, they get the highest honor in your country? Those of you on from Dominica, those of you who are on from St. Lucia, is this what happened, and what's your opinion on it? So if you can help me monitor the chat, and let's have a Caribbean talk about this, because I think and the whole thing. Now, who is recommending this? Is it the present parliament? Where did the idea come from?
It's a good question. I could not imagine sitting somewhere and devising a way to give myself an honor. I just don't know.
But I would not put it. I mean, with all respect, when one considers the current statue that replaced Lord Nelson in Bridgetown, it would not surprise me in the least if the idea came from the individual who created that whole perspective.
We don't know. We don't know.
We can speculate. We can speculate on the matter, but I sincerely hope that it would not be a prime minister who would recommend this.
There's a comment here. Let me see. Odwin Hamlet, where are you from? Are you from Dominica? No. Let me hear. I wanna hear from the Dominicans, if you're watching, and those from St. Lucia as well. Do your prime ministers, after the first term, regardless of what they've done, that they get the highest honor in your country? And if that doesn't happen, what are your thoughts about that? Would you like to hear that, Mark? Would you like to hear that?
I love what Odwin Hamlet has said.
Yeah.
Rewards are for showing transformational results. And that's what, when you think of people who get the highest national award in any country, these people have facilitated or guided, nurtured transformation of individuals, groups, communities, countries. That's what it's about, so changing people's lives for the better. And I just don't see how it becomes automatic. I don't see how there's a criteria. I don't see how there can be any integrity in it in its current form. I believe every leader, every prime minister deserves recognition. If you're talking about the highest national award, there are some people who are completely unheard, but yet have a massive impact. I mean, I could think of dozens, right? I mean, okay, let's think of Avis Carrington. Avis Carrington is now 106 years old. She began teaching, I think it was there was this thing put out, Carter's is 150, she is 106.
Wow.
So Carter started, whatever, 150 years ago was what, 2024? So what, 1925? I think that's, no, had to be 1900, right? 1875?
1875.
Carter started, okay? So understand then that Ms. Carrington is 106. She was started teaching at the age of 19. So she's been teaching now, probably more 60 years, 70 years she was teaching. Our current prime minister and many, many Barbadian luminaries have come through her hands, right? Many, 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 okay? Is she going to receive the nation's highest award? I would put my ex next to her name now. And I would absolutely refuse to put it next to any. I don't care where that prime minister came from, what party they represent. You would have to do something absolutely gargantuan to get the same award as Avis Carrington. No, there's no way. Just start with Avis Carrington. If you're not going to give her the nation's highest award, then how can any prime minister, after only 5 years in office, the first term, not after 15 years of grinding to make the country better, after the first term in office, they get the highest national award? Until you give Avis Carrington, people like her, that highest award, don't let me see anything. Matter of fact, the more I talk about this, the more incensed I get.
No, seriously, Mark, I'm here saying this is something that a lot of us missed, and this is why you brought this up to me.
Nation newspaper, April 24th. Go look it up.
This April 24th, and this is a done deal, or it's a suggestion?
It's a done deal. They said that this legislation passed. It wasn't proposed. It passed. They will all future prime ministers will get automatically after their first term in office the nation's highest award.
So none of the past prime ministers who accomplished such significant achievements for the country, Errol Barrow, Grantley Adams, Storm Adams, I mean, even Mr. Frondell Stewart, the establishment of that lab here that was significant to the well-being of people during the pandemic, should not then Mr. Stewart probably receive an award as well? I mean, it's ridiculous to think that you serve one term. I mean, I did this, Marcia, as I was mentioning to you a moment ago to the Royal Opposition. I received my award after 40 something, I think it's 45 years of ministry in the Caribbean. 45 years.
So just on that one, I don't understand. But hey, Marcia, remember I told you, to all Gemini people out there, happy birthday. Tomorrow is my birthday. My son and my daughter. Hey, you don't miss that opportunity, right?
Not when it comes to sons and daughters, my friend.
No. They're taking me to dinner. Oh hell, I'm on that for sure.
Yes. Take it. But you raised a very important. You've raised a very important discussion tonight. I must say, Mark. And what is interesting about this Barbadians and those from Dominica, those from St. Lucia, wherever you're watching from, the Barbadian situation is so very different from a lot of other countries, because Mark, you just said that it has been passed already. We've had no time to have discussion about it. Our situation, Mark, and I want to just say this before you go, is that we have one lone member of the opposition in the lower house. So every bill and everything is going to go through so quickly and so easily. And so all that happened, Mark, is that you read it in the newspaper. We can't do
Yeah.
anything about it at the moment. It's already passed.
It's already passed, but I don't believe that you can't do anything about it, because as much as, okay, we watched President Trump. As far as we knew, Roe v. Wade was a done deal. They're not going back, but it's turned back now, right? So there's no such thing. If the people of the country do not want the law, the laws can be changed. Laws are not written in stone like the Ten Commandments. The laws of man can be changed and adapt as the environment changes. It makes sense. With all the lawyers in Barbados, we've got some laws in our books that just still, pertain from what, 1652 or 1700, right? It doesn't make sense, So we all need to be more vigilant Barbadians, Caribbean people. The fact that our customer service rating has dropped is not the Prime Minister's fault. We all share a piece of that. The fact that our customer service rating has dropped is not the Prime Minister's fault. We need to look at ourselves for that one, okay? However, we need to hold ourselves accountable and hold our representatives accountable. We need to be certain of what we want, only think about what we want, be in alignment with head, heart, and body, and move forward to accomplish your ultimate highest desire. In love, with love, of love, for everyone involved. That's where our thinking is moving to. We are still operating primarily out of fear. This is a human condition. It's not a Barbadian condition, a black man condition, a white man. It is a human condition. We need to aspire to the high. Lead with love. Lead with love. Lead with love. Thank you guys very much. My children are here saying, "Daddy, look at the clock." So I gotta go. Okay,
you go ahead and receive your highest national award, being a great father.
Well said, Marcia.
Happy birthday, Mark. Always a pleasure to have you. Always a pleasure. God bless you. Bye bye. Yes, bye bye. It's an important topic, and I just want to say to all of you who are laboring in your different countries, you work so hard. People, you don't even get a thank you for it. We want to say thank you to you, to everybody. When people are there, pouring praises on themselves and patting themselves on the back. A lot of you are working. Those of you who are in school today, you wipe some children's noses, and you will help them write, or you help them to read, and did some things that, the nurses. What about the nurses? Dr. Ferdinand, your mom was a nurse, all these different things. I mean, this is crazy. It is
actually
really crazy.
she was actually a teacher. She was actually a teacher.
Oh, I thought she was a nurse. Okay.
No, she's a teacher, and incidentally, she began teaching. I think, if my mind serves me correctly, my sister would probably be the expert on this. But she began teaching at 14 years old, and she labored. And at the moment, the recognition for her labor in education is the Edna Nichols Center in Boscobel. Because she always worked with problematic children. She always took them under her wings, so to speak. There were always those children that parents could not manage, and in the context of the primary schools that she was principal of, she would never give up on a child. She would work with that child, work not only academically, but she would work within what she would have called at those times the graces of life. The things that children should learn: how to speak, and how to respect your elders, how to say thank you, how to say, how to step back and open a door for a lady. These are the things that she labored with for years. And sometime after her passing, and I just want to say that after her passing, the primary school, Boscobel's primary school in St. Peter, was named after her. And you find that in most instances, that is the case. I was just looking through, actually, from the Government Information Service Facebook page, to the different categories and criteria that are needed for the different. So you're not hearing me?
I'm hearing now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, unless it's something on my mic.
No,
And
no,
if you
no. Yeah, it probably was on my part. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great. Yeah, so I mean, all of these. I'm looking here. I'm not seeing a listing on the Barbados Government Information Service Facebook page relative to a prime minister, but I am looking at the different awards that persons would submit nominations. This was back in 2024 for the National Independence Awards and National Honors and Decorations Advisory Council received that. So it would be interesting to hear what that criteria would be. I would hope there would be criteria for that.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. A lot of people seem to have missed this that happened. This law, this law that was passed. A lot of people seem to have missed it completely, and this is what we are saying to Barbadians. This is why it is important to have an opposition, Dr. Ferdinand.
Yes,
This is
yes.
why it is so important to have an opposition, because you're going to have bills that are going to pass through the house like water.
And
Yes.
no, and not only that, Marcia, I have found that this administration has an interesting strategy, and that is the strategy of distractions. In other words, you hear certain things sounded like we're paying attention to the prime minister running a third term, but while our attention is there, they sneak these different bills to the House unnoticed, and they will tell you, but the debate went on. You could have watched it on the YouTube, you could have watched it in here, but it slipped right through. That's where we caught them. Remember, Marcia, with the cybercrime bill. Had it
Yes.
not been for us, that cybercrime bill would have passed into law already.
You're right. You're so correct. And this is why, again, the loyal opposition take a bow. Look at what has happened. They have not been able to touch that bill. Again, since we came back from the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, and we did it together, both those
Yes.
in Barbados and those outside of Barbados. And this is a good segue, Dr. Ferdinand, into Dominica. It is a good segue because Dominica, as well, they went to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. They actually did. The people,
Wow.
yes, the people, a lot, civil society, along with political parties, they came together and they went to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. And I just want to read a little kind of an introduction into this segment, Dr. Ferdinand,
Yeah.
so that we give a bit of context about what we're going to show. You're going to see some videos that we're going to show you from my trip and Michelle's trip. We went on behalf of you, loyal opposition. You sent us, and we came back with some I mean, we're gonna have an amazing discussion tonight. Get some hot chocolate. Don't get up. You're not gonna be able to get up from And I see Michelle is going to come in as well. I'm so happy she's going to join us. But just let me say, guys, that in the Eastern Caribbean, the island of Dominica, the road to electoral reform has become a national crossroads, a path filled with political controversy, civil unrest, and questions of democratic legitimacy. While the government touts the recent passage of 3 key electoral bills as progress, others, including the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, have sounded the alarm. And you're going to hear more about that in the segment that is coming up. In April 2025, Dr. Ferdinand, the Parliament of Dominica passed the Electoral Commission Bill, the House of Assembly Elections Bill, and the Registration of Electors Bill. These pieces of legislation are supposed to modernize the island's electoral process, which is important, but critics say they fall short of democratic standards. The Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, an independent body of the Organization of American States, issued a comprehensive statement outlining its concerns. At the heart of the matter, the process was neither transparent, inclusive, nor democratic. No, this is an independent body. And Dr. Ferdinand, when I left here, you know, my husband says, Marcia, make sure that what you are presenting that it's fair, right? And try to get both sides, try to get independent views on it. And when you check online, it's all there. What were some of the concerns of this international body concerning electoral reform in Dominica, and these three bills that were passed? One, lack of comprehensive public consultation. The IACHR strongly criticized the Dominican government for passing electoral reform legislation without meaningful public consultation. These laws affect the core of political rights and democratic governance. The absence of public engagement undermines public trust and participation. Number two, the omission of critical provisions. The bills fail to address two fundamental issues: campaign finance regulation. There are no legal limits or transparency requirements on how political parties fund campaigns, creating space to undue influence and political corruption. Number three, loyal opposition. Listen carefully. Independence of the Electoral Commission. So the IACHR in Washington, they have concern that the safeguards ensuring that the commission can operate free from executive interference are absent, further eroding confidence in the electoral process. Number three, listen to this, very, very important, and this is you're going to see this in the footage that we're going to show you. IACHR, an independent external body, says this: during the use of security during protests. During a peaceful protest on March 19, 2025, outside Parliament, citizens demonstrating against the reform bills were met with a strong presence of security forces. The IACHR raised concerns about possible violations of the right to peaceful assembly and freedom of expression, pillars of any functioning democracy. And the IACHR, they're calling for the Dominican government to engage civil society, opposition parties, and the stakeholders in continued dialogue. Democracy is not just about passing laws, it's about building consensus, ensuring equality, and guaranteeing universal suffrage. And, you know, one of the things that's been noted is, Dr. Ferdinand, is also the regional response. What has CARICOM said about all of this? The response from CARICOM has been cautious, almost non-existent. Despite the clear and public concerns of the IACHR, CARICOM has remained largely silent. Critics argue this silence should be interpreted as complicity, at the very least, a failure, or at the very least, a failure to uphold democratic standards within its member states. We're going to discuss that. You're going to hear that, you know, in the video. The truth is this: Dominica, from what we saw in Dominica, stands at a historic juncture. Barbados, will it heed the calls for transparency, reform, and public trust, or will it continue down a path that endangers democracy in the Caribbean? This is not just a Dominican issue, Dr. Purdy. This is a Caribbean issue. Those from St. Lucia watching, Jamaica, this is a Caribbean issue. And in the words of the IACHR, the legitimacy of an election depends not only on its results, but on the transparency and the fairness of the process that leads to it. And I think Dr. Ferdinand, it was really an eye-opening experience in Dominica, and I could only think, Dr. Ferdinand, about Barbados and where it seems like we're headed. We've talked a lot on this show about one party state, and in Dominica, they've had one leader for 25 years. Yeah. Dominica is living in a one-party state. And here it is, IACHR, Michelle, you were there, is now saying that democracy basically is under threat. Having free and fair elections in Dominica is under threat. And we hear Mr. Thorne talks about in Barbados accusing the Mia Mottley government of padding the voters list. And these are the things that are happening right there in Dominica. Let me just say welcome to Michelle. And Michelle, you were there with us in Dominica. Do you agree with the opening statements, and just give your overall view of what you saw in Dominica?
And just let me say quickly before she comes on to the loyal opposition, Marcia, that this young lady was one of our main supporters when we went to Washington to represent the citizenry of Barbados with the cybercrime bill. And it's a real pleasure to have you on with us tonight. Well, for those of you in the loyal opposition, this was one of the people who stood firmly with us and supported us during that trip.
Yes. Welcome, Michelle, and go right ahead and just give your views and your thoughts of what you saw and the opening remarks.
Good night, Barbados. Good night, Dr. Ferdinand Nichols, and good night, Marcia. Good night, Dave.
Can you speak up a little louder, please, Michelle?
All right, hold on one second. Hey, don't you fix this? I say good night to everyone. Good night.
Yeah, good and clear there.
All right, good. Very good, very good. This was a long weekend, but I'm thankful that I went through the process, and I want to thank Marcia and Dave for giving me the opportunity. Dr. Ferdinand, we haven't spoken in a while, but nice to see you on, and good night to everyone.
To see you.
Good night, Dominica. Good night, Dominica. I'm proud to have y'all, and I appreciate y'all listening. This weekend was eye-opening, was something that I didn't know much about until I heard this week on another show, and I felt it was important to get the story from on the ground. So that's what happened this week. It was off the cuff. I mean, there was really no planning. This was where everyone spoke up, everyone agreed, and then family said it was okay, and we just took this journey to Dominica, and I'm happy we did, because we learned a lot. Dominicans are outstanding people, outstanding, and I want to thank everyone who I met this weekend, everyone in Salisbury, from driver, from anyone that helped us find housing, anyone who fed us. It was your hospitality was just like top notch, and thank you so much. Now let's get down to business, because it seems like what is going on in Dominica, what's going on in some other islands, it's like it's contagious. We are now seeing some electoral irregularities here in Barbados also. So I think that it has to be a regional fix. This cannot be individual islands. This can't be where let's say one island nation does one thing and another island nation does it. I think this has to be some sort of regional fix to get the irregularities. I would say regulated. I would say eradicated, and let elections be for the people and by the people. So Dominica kind of, from what I learned this weekend, kind of, I think maybe elevated the situation. I mean, I was listening to what's going on in Barbados, but it is really, really, really on the ground, and how the people is where I felt most comfortable listening to, because everyone's story was the same. No one had a variation in what they were telling. Everyone really had passion for their country. They had passion for their village, passion for their family, and they believe in democracy. And that's what they're trying to say in Dominica.
Yes, thank you, Michelle. And I just want to welcome those from Dominica, those of you who are on. And I saw a comment here from a Nicholas Booty, and he was saying, I'm trying to find it again. I did see you were commenting that he was saying that his spelling was off, but he was saying that what I'm saying is a lie. Now, Nicholas, if what I'm saying is a lie, you're also saying that all the external bodies, including the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, also the Organization of American States, that they are also lying. Is that what we're really saying? We're saying that the external bodies are lying? If you noted, I did not quote a politician tonight. I didn't quote the people, Nicholas Brody. I quoted, if anybody wants to go and research what this organization is, the organization of the Inter-American and Commission on Human Rights, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. We went to them with our cybercrime bill here in Barbados. And you, as a Dominican, you're going to say that what I read is a lie? That is very interesting. You're really not saying that I'm telling a lie. I'm sure you're not saying that. You're saying that this external body is lying on the country. Is that what you're saying? You're saying the Organization of American States is lying? And this is what happens, even in a country like Barbados, when we go ahead and we drink the Kool-Aid. You understand? With all due, I don't know you, Nicholas, but with all due respect, come on, let's begin to love ourselves and love our country.
Yeah.
And not keep perpetuating what we're told by our leaders. Let's put a little thinking in it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think very often, again, Marcia, we come down in this matter on the lines of party rather than on the lines of what is a national position or national interest. I find interestingly the IACHR has been monitoring Dominica's electoral reforms since 2018. And I think it's important for us to recognize that they have expressed significant concerns. This is the organization that oversees the American Convention on Human Rights, the American Declaration of Rights and Duties of Man, the Inter-American Democratic Charter, and they have expressed significant concerns. I mean, I'm reading on their website, Marcia, not on somebody else's site, on the IACHR website. This matter in Dominica is addressed specifically, expressing concern regarding the electoral reform process in Dominica, and they also reference the state forces coming out against peaceful demonstrations, and they indicated very clearly that really was a violation of the human rights of the people in Dominica.
Yeah.
It's very important for us to recognize
you're
these
reading
things.
it. You're reading it, and this is what we want to say,
Yes.
guys. Don't line up, and they're doing it in Dominica and Bajans. I want you to see we're doing it here as well. You are listen to Nicholas. We are reading from the site that he's saying is did not say that. Dr. Ferdinand, who did not go to Dominica, is opening the site and reading it. I read the OAS report. I read the IACHR report. We're not quoting any politician, a response. And that's why I did this before we even go to hearing the people of Dominica. Let's look at it, Michelle, from an external source. And yet still we have people who are arguing. The OAS report and the IACHR report, they're both saying they say, you know what they say, your elections might be free, but they said that it's not fair. I've read that. Okay, so let's think, but we're going to go on, and we're going to and we're going to go ahead without getting distracted, and let's listen to the people of Dominica, and then in the meantime we're going to bring Mr. Lewis in. So Dave, if you can go ahead and let me just set this up, Michelle. And Michelle, you want to set this up for us and tell us what's going on in this clip before we see it?
Well, this weekend we spent some time in a I don't know.
A little louder, Michelle.
This weekend we spent some time in a village of Salisbury, Dominica, and they were very welcoming. Everyone wanted to tell their story about what happened in 2019, and we took some footage, some videos. The people are united in this community. They're united in democracy. They're united in freedom. They want everyone to know their story. And particularly, they want Barbados. And I'm going to say that specifically. Particularly, they want Barbadians to know their story because they feel some a way about our Prime Minister Mottleey. And they feel that there has been some level of interference in their election, interference in how they are governed, and so they're feeling some kind of way about how Barbados has injected themselves in their politics. So this was a home we went to. And I believe she was about, what, 80, 83, 83, 85
she
years
was
old?
86 years old, and I have her
86 years
name
old.
here. But let's continue, and I will say her name at the end. I'll allow you to speak. Go continue.
Yeah, she was in her 80s, and she tells a story of what happened to her in 2019.
And what can you tell the people? What can you give them a summary of what was happening in Dominica in 2019 that would have led up to this, if you can remember?
I'm still a little exhausted from this this was a lot. This was a lot of information to absorb. Well,
yeah.
Dominicans had. I think it's best for you to explain it, Marcia, at this point.
All right, no problem. Yeah, we're not too long. You got in and so on. Well, what happened in 2019 is that Dominicans decided that they were going to have a protest.
Yes.
Because of the issues with the electoral reforms. They felt that the elections were not fair. They were not fair. And so they decided that they were going to protest. Well, they started their protest. And what happened? The Prime Minister of Dominica decided to call in the RSS, and these are the regional security services. Mr. Victor, you were a past police, so you know who those are, and they brought in these forces from different countries, and at the time, the CARICOM head was the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, and their recollection and their story in Dominica is that majority of the service members, the police service, they were from Barbados, and what they said was that during the process, Dr. Ferdinand, the St. Lucian Prime Minister, Chastanet, he recognized that that they were called in for the wrong reasons then. Because they were having a protest. The people were having a protest concerning electoral reform. And so he pulled out his troops. This is what we're reporting, what we were told. But they're saying from the accent of the soldiers that remained and what, they knew that they were Barbadians, that these, the RSS, inclusive of a lot of Bajan policemen, that they began to terrorize the people of Salisbury.
Yeah, we saw that. We watched that on YouTube, Marcia.
You watch it on YouTube.
Yes, we watched it on YouTube. I
You're
saw
talking about
videos.
the one that happened in March.
Yes.
Well, this one happened. This actually happened. What the incident I'm speaking of is in 2019.
Oh my goodness.
This is 1 year after Prime Minister Mottley got into office, and the first time that was related to us was on Friday night. And when I heard it, I said, "This sounds impossible." And they said that there were elderly people who they threw the Michelle, give me the name again. We're all tired. What did they throw, Michelle, in the canisters?
Oh, the canisters, those smoke bombs, those
Tear gas.
yes,
The
tear gas. The tear gas
Yes, please,
that
please
fills.
forgive us. We
Mhm.
came in and didn't get a rest. These
Tear
were
gas
the tear
and
gas.
rubber bullets, tear gas, and just filled the community full of smoke. For smoke, many were injured, respiratory problems. Some experience, and it was a lot of elderly in the community. They have nowhere to go, nowhere to run. They cannot defend themselves. So these are not people that had weapons, that had weapons against the government or against soldiers. These were just people sleeping. This started at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they rained terror on this community till about noon, the same day. And people were traumatized. They lost, I'm gonna say about, I'm gonna say 15, about maybe 15 elders in the community behind this incident. And it really devastated the community to the point where, listening to this story while doing the interview, you can feel as if they're going back to the time when they're explaining exactly what happened to them, and how it was unbelievable, unfair, unbelievable, and they could not believe that this was happening.
Yes, and someone is actually saying some of it when they looked at the labels on the tear gas, it was expired, the date, it was expired tear gas. And this we actually saw the canisters, right?
Yes.
We saw the canisters that were used.
Yes,
So
they saved the canisters as evidence.
yes.
Now, when you look at these canisters, these are not. When you think of something like rubber bullets or something like these, this is metal. This is like cardboard. So imagine a projectile at a high speed. You are still going to get a serious injury from these objects.
Yes, yes. And we're going to ask everybody to like the show, because I recognize that we're going to develop some people who are going to consider themselves enemy of the show, because we tell the truth here. We're going to tell the truth. So I need you to fight back in terms of the algorithm for us, please, and begin to like the show, because if they begin to report the show, then what happens is that we fall down in the algorithm. So we need you to take a moment and like the show. We're going to show you this woman's story. We went to Dominica, to Salisbury. I told my husband, I told Michelle, Dr. Ferdinand, we are going to tell the story of the people of Salisbury, like 84-year-old Serena James, who cannot tell her story herself. We went in her house with a camera, thanks to Hector John and the entire team. I wanted to take a moment. If you haven't done this yet, share it in your WhatsApp groups. Share the story. This happened right here in the Caribbean. This is not in a war zone. It's in the Caribbean, where we found elderly people were giving the story of even their moms that were knocked in the head, knocked out. by a canister of tear gas in their own homes at 4 a.m. in the morning. Mr. Lewis, 4 a.m. Think about it, a canister hitting you in your head. That's what happened in Dominica. And so I need us, this is a serious business, folks. We are being the voice of the voiceless. That's what's happening. Dave, let's play the story of Serena James. She's 84 years old, and she's a victim of tear gas by the RSS. Go right ahead, Dave. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Hello. She drinking everything. Hi, good day, Mama.
How are you?
I'm so happy we came to see you. Wow. It's so great to see you today. How you feeling?
Same thing, not much better, not worse, but in between.
You're in between. Yes, we're happy to. We're from Barbados. We're from Barbados.
Salisbury, Dominica.
No, she's from Barbados.
Oh, you from Barbados?
Yes. And we were told about the tear gassing of this community, and we wanted to talk to you about that and your experience, and to be able to tell people what you experienced in your house here in Dominica.
I experienced in my house.
Tear gas.
Oh,
Tear gas.
or in my house, on tear gas. Burning my eyes, everything. You're not taking a seat.
Yeah, she said, you want her to sit?
She's okay.
She's okay. She's filming. That's okay. She's being very generous and very hospitable.
And it probably, I know, or say it in English, but it got the tear gas in 2019. Tear gas, yeah. Okay. But yeah.
But I feel it.
Yeah, you feel it.
How did you feel it? How?
Come on, something and see in your eyes.
I see him. Come on, and take gas.
All herself had tear gas.
Repeat, please.
She said all herself had tear gas.
Her entire body. So she felt.
I got it in the little bathroom there.
Okay, she was in the bathroom, maybe hiding.
You went in the bathroom to hide?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
I could not go nowhere except in the little bathroom and with myself.
You went into the bathroom and put water on yourself.
Yes.
To try to get relief
Really.
from the tear gas.
Yes.
And you, when it started, you were in your bed sleeping?
No. I was outside.
The first time.
2019.
In the first time. I was outside. On that the house that.
And then
I sat down on this seat. I don't know if it was tear gas giving after I take a scent. I said, what that scent is no. So I get up. I in my eyes. But I say, oh, tear gas, that's the saying. I run on that step on my step. I sit down there. I could not go nowhere except here. On my step. I sit down on my step until I get a towel.
You got a towel?
And I put it on my eyes.
Yes, you put the towel on your eyes.
The wet towel.
Yes.
After that, I get up and I go inside. And I go inside. While I there, I heard my nephew saying, Sunday, sorry, no, that is my name, but they calling me Sona. But Sona,
Sona, you're not moving from this house, or you're not living in this house? That's what they're asking.
Yeah. They're asking if you're not living in this house.
Living to go because of the tear gas.
I tell him what happened. He's telling me tear gas, and all in the house. was descent of the tag.
Okay, and so they wanted you to leave the house.
And leave me.
Well, how could you go? Somebody would have to lift you up.
He lifted me up.
Oh my God.
He lifted me up. He
lifted you up.
Me
Oh
and
God.
bring me on that transport.
Oh my God. So he had to lift you up. Oh gosh, this is bringing me to
My
tears.
even fall, and I don't know.
What? What did it say?
I fell your shoes.
What did she
She
say?
said her shoes fell while they were going over.
Okay. Your shoes even fell off your feet when he lifted you up. He was trying to help you.
And I don't know.
Wait, fell.
I don't know. No.
You lost your shoes.
I got it.
It's but after my sister lost her glasses.
Yeah, you lost your shoes. I'm so sorry.
Oh
my God. This is cruel. This is cruel. Have you ever been able to share these stories with the government of this country?
Well, recently, after
come beside her.
Yeah, after what transpired on May 20th, March 20th, MO News is a local news outlet online. MO News is some such story, including us and some others. So she had an expert and the others
in Dominica,
yes,
from Dominica.
Oh
God!
Circulated around the Dominican public.
Yes.
But yours will be.
Yeah, I mean, folks, everybody who's watching this story, please share it. Please like it. Please share it. These are these. How old are you, ma'am?
84.
She's 84. 84, and
old lady.
You're old lady, but you look good. She's 84 and had to be lifted up by her nephew. She lost her shoes, sitting down in her own home, and had to leave her home because she was tear gassed. So honestly, my heart is full today, full, because these are the stories, that we don't hear, and this is so sad.
He brought me on that transport, and my uncle.
They brought you to your uncle
in safety.
For safety.
So after they bring me to today, tomorrow they bring me back home.
They brought you back home when it was finished.
And still lifted me up and put it on a transport.
They put you on a vehicle.
On a vehicle.
She also had some eye issues. She's one of them got some eye issues.
She has some eye issues from the tear gas. So you've developed some eye issues because the tear gas burned your eyes.
Yes.
These people need to be compensated.
I have to go up there. June 6th.
June 6th. You have a good memory, man. Yes, you remembered you have to go June 6th. Is your appointment for your eyes because of the tear gas?
Yes.
So who is paying her doctor bill?
Well, she's putting her bill, her family help assisting her. That's another issue that we have to, in terms of our legal fees, our bills, medical bills, and for our elderly who got affected. All this we have to raise with the authorities, and all this we want to bring into the discussion, legal discussion with the lawyers. So going forward, the matter has been delayed. It's just been delayed before the court, and that's where we are right now. They are before the High Court, but they have been delayed upon delays. Since we have the first one for 2015, that is in her name, Sarinda James, et al., and the other one is in witness. 2019 is in the name of witness et al., and she have been in all the matters because she's right in the area.
In the area, and she's been tear gassed 4 times.
4 to 5 times.
Wow, this is ridiculous.
And they will not ask where these individuals are who live in there. Nothing, but this is merciless.
They're just throwing it in the homes, throwing it in the yards.
You still brought you several.
Yes.
Canisters. All on the house are canisters.
Yes, but I mean, if
I collected for.
And
who that was there?
MO News.
Same. Mike brother,
Tiani. Douglas is a Douglas. Tiani Benson is a Douglas son. He's a lawyer here as well, and he came in 2000 and 15, the 2 times we had May 11th and June 11th. He was here with us as a lawyer and collected
Because there are a lot of
canisters.
behind my house here.
A lot of canisters.
Yes.
Yes. Well, oh, I'm really, really, really sorry on behalf of all of us. You know, we want to say to you, we are sorry. We're very sorry. That's all we can say right now. And we can use our social media pages and we can let the world know what happened to you in your home when you did no one anything. And this is you know, human rights violations.
And at that time, there was nobody there. I had alone that was.
She alone had also nobody to help.
Nobody to help you.
After my nephew.
Right. When your nephew came. To lift you up, to thank God. God sent him. It's like he was an angel sent to you. Yes, so
merci.
bless you.
C'est before. She don't know, she's not giving up.
They give me a stick.
But she can't walk too well. She's not giving up. She knows she can go to court. They give her a stick, but she wants to make sure that
right. So even if she gets a stick, she wants to get to court.
Yes, so make sure that justice is served at her age. Thank you. Okay, look at when I before.
Well.
Okay, all right.
And the day Martin first one not to mama.
No. Say before. Look at when.
Ouais.
Bon day bon.
I'm still in that. Dave, no. Could you put it back on the screen, Dave? Thank you. Dave, if you could put that back on the screen, because we don't do anything about things that we can't feel. You know, Victor, you hear it. We heard it said on here Friday night. And I believe, whether you believe in God or not, I believe, Michelle and I, that we were sent to Dominica, to this woman's house, to Serena James, 84 years old, to help her to get this message out, to get her story out. And anybody who comes on this, and you're hearing this 84 years old woman, and saying that that what she's saying is alluding to what she's saying is a lie, that person, just know that we have removed all of your comments from here, because you're not going to victimize this woman a second time. Folks, Michelle and I went there. We could sit on here until probably tomorrow morning and play you story after story telling you the same thing. Do not come on this channel and say that this 84-year-old woman is telling a lie. If you do that, I'm going to remove your comments and ban you, because that is a second victimization. So as we get that household, we get that out the way. Let's get to let me just bring.
Marcia, let me just say something real quick.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Go to the next segment. I want everyone who's listening, who's watching, to just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and put yourself in the shoes. Put your mother, your grandmother, anyone in your family in the shoes of the story that we're telling tonight. Just being there, it hurt. I felt like I understood what they were going, and I'm only listening to what happened. So I want Bajans, I want Barbadians, I want people in the diaspora to please listen to what Dominicans are saying, listen to what these elders, listen to what this village is telling you. Just just don't comment, just listen, listen, and then think about your own family and think about the position you would be in. What would you do? What would you do? You don't have weapons to defend yourself. What would you do 4 o'clock in the morning? Just a raid on your home, on your entire village. You have nowhere to go because the entire village is being raided. You have nowhere to go. What would you do? There's no reason for this story to be fabricated. Absolutely not, no reason, any reason for the story to be fabricated, created. So I just want everyone to just take a deep breath. As you watch the videos, as you listen, just let's be critical thinkers here, and let's not judge. Let's not put our own political, opinions in, and just listen for humanity. Just listen to the people, please.
You're muted, Marcia.
Ferdinand, because I'm still in the moment of this lady here. And I turned to Mr. Lewis, I turned to Hector John, our host, and I said, this is why we came to Salisbury. This is why we came. We didn't come, we weren't coming to do any political story, folks. When my husband asked me, Mr. Lewis, what are you doing? You just met these people Friday nights online and you want to go to Dominica. Why are you going? And I said, to tell the story of the people of Salisbury. And this is it on this. Look at her. What's your comment, Mr. Lewis, before we continue?
Well, good night to everyone. Good night to the Royal Opposition, Dr. Ferdinand, Michelle, and others. I spent some time in Dominica after the hurricane, after that devastating period with the hurricane. So I spent some time down there with a team from church repairing roofs. So I spent a whole lot of time in Salisbury and Montrachet, and Salisbury is a wonderful place. I heard the discussion just now relative to what occurred in 2019, so that, we were getting some clarity on that one. But in terms of the RSS, I heard you, Marcia, spoke relative to the St. Lucian Prime Minister, recalling his officers back to St. Lucia because they were called there for maybe the wrong reason. So, I know what transpired. At least I saw quite a lot of videos as to what was going on in Dominica over the March period. I know there was a gentleman who was in prison. I know in actual fact, when the uprising started, that this guy was free and he was amongst his people. And then afterward, when he decided to check in at the police station, he was in prison. So I was really questioning as to is there some person or is there a group of people behind all of this? Because what occurred in Dominica over March, it is sad to see something of that nature happening in the Caribbean. And it didn't speak to democracy at all. It didn't speak to the ability and the freedom of people to voice their concerns. In actual fact, the level of well, I want to say a lack of confidence in the government was really highlighted then, and it is rather unfortunate to see something of that nature happening in our Caribbean. And I think there's many questions out there that still need to be answered as to what's really going on in our CARICOM network of islands.
Yeah, yes, yes. And Marva Hunt, that's why, I don't have a problem, Dr. Ferdinand, with people sharing a different view, but you're not going to victimize someone twice. You're not going to victimize someone who says to us, Dr. Ferdinand, and brought tears to our eyes right there. She says to Hector John, even if you need to give, even if I have to use a stick, I have to go to the court to tell them what happened to me. And you're going to come and here and tell me she's lying? But over to you, Dr. Ferdinand.
But you know, Marcia, the thing about it is that it's almost heartless. You know, we have witnessed these kind of things happening in Paris. We've witnessed them happening in Spain. We've witnessed them happening in some of the African states. We would never believe we would witness this happening in the Caribbean. That's the first thing. And then what I believe is when one looks at the synergies that are being created in the Caribbean, it's almost like if this is a testing ground to see how people will respond. You know, because while you were speaking, I did a bit of research because the Electoral Reform Coalition in Dominica raised significant concerns with the government in relation to electoral reform. And Marcia, for someone to come and talk about lies would suggest that not only political parties in Dominica are lying, but trade unions, religious organizations, and even private sector entities. These are the persons who make up the Electoral Reform Coalition in Dominica, and they're speaking to these matters, and even the IACHR, Marcia, they're speaking to the matters of and I mentioned it coming out of our by-election, of having international observers. And I believe we are reaching the stage in the Caribbean where we are going to have to request international observers in our electoral processes, because governments can no longer be trusted to
Yeah.
allow the people their freedom of right when it comes to matters such as voting and their electoral privileges.
Yes, and very very well said, Dr. Ferdinand, and we could show you so many videos. I mean,
Oh
if you
goodness.
when someone said I can't take any more of this, but imagine we were in the community. I can't remember what time we started. It is 9:30, 10 o'clock. I can't remember, Michelle, what time we started, and we got home when it was dark. And we were hearing the stories. We were seeing, people were showing you where I got shot here. They weren't just shooting rubber bullets. They were shooting Victor Lewis live bullets. We saw somebody, an ex BDF, not BDF, well, let me not say details of that particular person. We can't. But he had 3 or 4 bullets, holes in his body. They shot live bullets. And what were these people fighting for? What were they protesting for? Electoral reform. They were saying we do not want a one-party state. The prime minister has been prime minister for 25 years. Barbados, will you wake up? Will you hear what we're telling you? We've had shows, Dr. Ferdinand, and we've appealed to Barbados. Barbados,
Wake up, wake up,
wake up. We're going
wake
into
up.
a one-party state. And these people, they're in it, and they started to protest, which they're allowed to do. And they brought in external forces. And this is why I tell you the truth. And we're going to get ready for the next video. But let me just say this here, that Michelle, you were there, and I'm going to let you take over from here, because Michelle, that throughout that community, and we were even in Portsmouth today, a whole different community near to where Miss Motley was giving the speech, and these people, they do not want to hear Mia Motley's name. They do not want to hear Barbados's name. Am I saying that? Am I telling the truth, Michelle?
You're not. You're telling the truth. Barbados, we have a problem with Dominica. I mean, like, we the sister island feels that we have something against them because of the political things that are happening, and because of some of the interference of our Prime Minister Mia Motley. So when speaking to citizens, they feel like it's general that Barbadians have a problem with Dominicans, and that is not true. We are learning this weekend as we're telling you the story right now. Like, Barbadians have no clue that Dominicans have a problem with Barbados. They didn't have a clue. I didn't know. I did not even know. I had to hear for like I said, from sun up to sundown, interviewing, speaking. And this is what really got me is no one felt like they couldn't speak. People stopped us on the street. They see a camera, they saw someone, they hear in the community that someone wants to discuss this incident in 2019, and they were glad to come out their doors. They were glad to stop on their way to work, stop at a bus stop and give us their opinion, their feelings on our prime minister, on Barbados as a whole, and their own government. And really, they heartfelt, like, Barbados, what did we do to you? That was the kind of feeling I got. What did we do to you? And I had to say, like, we're on the ground in Barbados. We do not even know that this is happening to you. So this is why this story is very important, because we have love for Dominicans. We have love for all our sister islands, but we can't have it where our prime minister has created a situation where, as a whole, because she's not just the prime minister, she also has other leadership responsibilities. And sometimes when you have those leadership responsibilities, you have to stay neutral. You have to stay neutral in a situation and not allow your political feelings or your political aspirations to interfere with specific or different islands. You have to stay neutral in the whole situation. And that's what they were trying to tell us. Barbados, we've done nothing to you. What is going on?
Yeah. And if I can, those of you who just joined and you're wondering, why are they in their minds, we're just understand that Michelle and I, we're just telling the story. Okay. We're the storytellers. So one of the things that they said to us, and Michelle, you can correct me if at any point I'm leaving anything out or even exaggerating anything, feel free to stop me. But one of the things that they said to us is that, generally speaking, people, when Mayor Motley went into power in 2018, they loved the idea. Am I speaking the truth?
Yes.
They loved the idea of a female prime minister, and with they just loved her. They felt that this was a breath of fresh air and so on. And so when they realized that the St. Lucian prime minister remove their troops, they had high hopes that Mayor Motley would, she's a woman of substance, of reasoning, that she is going to remove the troops. But lo and behold, in their story is that the troops were made up of mainly Barbadians, and they were disappointed. They said they look up to Barbados. Isn't that what they said? They said, we look up to Barbados. We love Barbados. We look up to Barbados. And we loved the female prime minister from Barbados, and we were disappointed. We were shocked to know that here it is. We were standing up for electoral reform because we don't want a one-party state. And instead, Mayor Motley listened to PM Skerritt and did not withdraw these troops. That's their allegation. That's what they're saying. That's what their story is. And the last thing I'll say before we show this, and we have to tell this, Michelle, because it is the truth. What we heard is, when we were there, we saw she was probably in her 70s, and we were introduced as two ladies from Barbados. And all of a sudden, the woman temperament, Mr. Dr. Ferdinand, and viewers, changed.
Yes.
Okay? Isn't that true? She changed. And I'm like, oh boy, what is, and she starts to speak in her patois. And of course, we didn't understand what she's saying, but we knew she was angry. And she got angry because she heard we were from Barbados. Right? And don't judge this woman yet. Listen. And then Hector says, No. They're here to speak with you. And then she said to us in English. She said, do you know Leah Motley? She doesn't even call her Mia. Don't even know her name is Mia. She calls her Leah, right? She said, do you know Leah Motley? And we realized we were in trouble. We said, no, we don't know her. We don't know Leah Motley. We know of her. And we said her name is Mia Motley. And then she said, she said, are you friends with Mia Motley? And we said, no, we're not friends with Mia Motley. We know of Mia Motley. She's our prime minister. And we are here with peace. We said we came in peace. And then that woman, Mr. Lewis, believe it or not, her response to us was, what she told us is that her mother was hit in the forehead. Her mom was 80-something years old. When the tear gas started, it started while the mother was in her bed. Her mother was in her bed, and they took her up to take her to the bathroom to wash her face. And in going to the bathroom, the tear gas hit her in her head, in her forehead, and she died. And that's why she carried so much hate, and so we were there to listen to her. So I want you to understand, I mean, obviously, I don't know if the prime minister is even aware of these stories. I don't know if the police service is aware. I don't know. We don't know why wasn't this news in Barbados. Why didn't the journalists, the region, make this news? I don't know. But Dave, let's play what we have before us. AC. But we've been having a great time, and as much as we are, we are laughing now. We had some food today, and it was a fun time at lunch. I mean, on my way to lunch, I was in tears. As I spoke to the people in the community, the elderly, who during the it was 2019, was really, really horrible for a lot of people.
December, day before the election.
Yes, and you still remember that?
Yeah. And when they came down, we had the RSS here, and our main factor was we wanted electoral reform from the Dominican public and people from Salisbury. But the people from Salisbury protested and decided that they wanted electoral reform. If there's no reform, there should not be an election. So they protested. The government came and they brought down the police force, and the forces from Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, and Antigua. Yeah, and when they came, people resisted a bit, but the protest was done on the Eagle Highway. But the guys, they left the Eagle Highway and they went up in the village, and they tear gassed the village. And it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, while everybody was still asleep. They tear gassed the village on their way down. Imagine we had some tear gas and rubber bullets that went maybe about 30 feet way inside. We had an elderly man called Mr. ZBA. His window was crashed up, burst with one of the rubber bullets. So that is to show you the extent of tear gas sent in the village. And they went in the village and they went down close to the Eagle Highway. And from there they started tear gas in the village again, And
so where were you in all of this?
Yeah, at my home, because my house is right above Eagle Highway.
And you were in your bed at that time?
Yeah, I was in my bed.
So the tear gas woke you up?
It woke me up, and we had to be using milk, because people told us that we should use milk.
Yes.
To wash our faces.
Yes, an elderly lady told us about milk.
Yeah, and that's what we had to do till morning comes, and then when the morning comes, we decided.
So it was going on for hours?
For hours.
8 hours.
Yeah,
8 hours.
It lasted for maybe up to about 4 o'clock.
No, 12.
12?
4 in the morning to 12 in the
12
afternoon.
in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And from that time, they were there tear gas in the village and so on. And we had about 6 elderly people in our area. My mother, my uncle, my aunt, and some others. And most of them died. you know, and I believe the tear gas played a part in the death, you know.
Yeah.
And
About
that,
a dozen.
hmm?
About a dozen, sir.
Yes,
About a dozen of
yes,
them.
yeah, because of the after effects of that.
Right,
And,
of that tear gas, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
And the fellas continued tear gas in the village. And the people of Salisbury, they had no choice but to retaliate, you know, and so on, you know.
Trying to protect. Some
Protect-
people said they were trying to protect the elderly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And even the children, there was a young girl who just had a baby. She had to run out with the child, you know, because the house is closed up, you know. And these guys, they never stop, you know. And that is what we in Salisbury have been going through. And the tear gas Salisbury village about four times already.
Mm-hmm.
5 times.
Wow.
Yeah. Same for what? For no reason. The first time it was for our roads.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted our farm roads to fix up, and they would not do it. And the only reason they did it is because we protested. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. And so that is what this government has brought to us. Whatever you want, you have to protest for it.
Right.
Yeah,
So that's
you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
But let me talk to your sisters here. Can you both come together?
Yes.
Let's. They're fierce chefs here. Let me tell you, the food tastes good. So you know, I want to. You're listening, and I saw your head down, and you were remembering the whole thing. Sometimes do you think that, you know what, it doesn't make any sense to live here? It's better for the family to move from here. You ever thought about that?
No, not really, because the day that happened, somebody called us home, and we went down on the playing field, and all we could see was the place just covered with smoke. It's just covered with smoke, and so that's where we could stay. We couldn't go lower down. Playing field.
Right.
Yes,
Everybody they were trying to get up to that playing field.
Yes, some
Wow.
people still running up, running up on the playing field. Yes.
And some of the elderly said they were lifted up by young men in the community, trying to get them to the high point of safety. So yes, go ahead.
No, and remember, when you get up from sleep, I mean, you're at 4 o'clock in the morning, that's when the sleep is sweeter. You know, when you get up from sleep, you days, you don't know what is going on, and that's happening to you. I mean, you have to be, scared. And
So what happened to the children?
Well, but I was not here. I was in the States. But my daughter called me.
Your daughter was here?
Yeah, my daughter was here.
How old she was?
She was, 2019. She was 27, 20. No, she was 30, 35. 35, yes, she was about 35 years. And she said, Mom, it's scary killing us with tear gas. But I heard it I was listening to a program with Pastor Randy, as a program at 6 o'clock. So that time, Dominica, it was 6 o'clock, but it was 5 o'clock in the States. When I got up, I heard that, I started crying. I was so mad, I started crying. And then my daughter called me, and she started crying. So I was crying, and it really hurts. It really hurts. But the reason why he's doing that doing that, Salisbury people, we don't take handout. We are hardworking people, and we don't stand for nonsense, right? We need road to go and work. You cannot want us to come and beg, and say, we want this, we want that. No, we have the road, we have the farmland, we have the farmers, and they produce.
I
So
see.
we need to.
You produce a lot of
we are
food.
independent.
Yes,
people in
yes.
Salisbury.
Yes.
So that is the reason why we are being treated the way that we are being treated in Dominica.
Because you don't want the handouts and the little envelopes and so on.
So
I understand it. Yeah.
No to those things, and we have to stand up and say enough is enough.
Yes. And so
that's
you
why-
believe that is what.
Yeah, that is the reason.
That is a reason. But there's a spirit here. I was saying to you that once the driver picked us up, Hawkins, and we were talking, etc. And I was saying to Michelle, there's something about him, in Jamaica we have where it is said we're out of many one people, but in Dominica I see a lot of people your complexion. You see a lighter complexion. I mean, it's disproportionate, and I'm saying, I know these are black people, right? And I said, what are you mixed with? He said, I'm black, and I was saying there's something else there. And I said to Michelle, I think
Carib. So I asked him, do they mix? Is there a mixture? He said, no, there's a mixture and some, but something is telling me that when I got to Salisbury, the spirit of the people, when I saw the spirit of the people, my brother, you're still here. When I saw the spirit of the people and I felt the spirit of the people, the little old elderly woman who says to you, even if I have to go with my walker or my stick, I'm going to the court to get justice. And the way she said it, very frail body, I said, there is something inside of these people like the Caribs. And so when I spoke to you today, can you tell the viewers why it is that so many people, the mixture here?
I think it's Pat Calinago as well, and a lot of us, because of Calinagos, the Caribs now, we call them Calinagos.
Yes.
So the Calinagos a mixture as well, because a lot of, around the island, a lot of Calinagos. In Salisbury as well, had on the bay side, was a Carib community as well. But we also have the European influence from the French, you're right? From Scotland. And then you have some on my end as well, on my mother's end as well, has those who came from Europe, the Royes. So a lot of them come from. So we had that kind of mixture as well. But our basis is black, but we had that mixture.
Right.
And a lot of French influence as well, and European French from Guadeloupe and Martinique, because we're based between Guadeloupe and Martinique. So our history has a lot of them come to Dominica as well, and purchasing land.
But there's that kind, that resilience and that no nonsense. It feels like when you do the history of the cars and what you feel. And even your stature and your bone structure and all of that. I was saying, wow. And then you said this particular area.
Yes.
Look at him. Look at it. But we're told that this area was originally
Caribs. But Salisbury was originally estates, but the Caribs were living on the bay side, and they would do farming and agriculture, farming and hunting up, and they would do fishing down on the bay side. And it evolved into one of the British settlers purchased there from Wiltshire. That's why it became Salisbury. Wiltshire County in England, that became Salisbury. But a lot of our influence is African and Carib, Calinagos. So that's why a lot of us
get that. Yes, that is that fighting spirit and that resistance. And
yes, I was saying, when I came from the States, I was so mad. And when I came home, I went on a one-woman protest, and I still on a one-woman protest.
You should tell you about these people.
Oh yeah,
you went on a one-woman protest.
One-woman protest. Like every Friday, I would I have my placard on my neck, and I make a placard, and I put a string in it on my neck, and I'm walking around the Rosso, and I'm calling on the
Rosso.
Yeah,
in the town.
That's it. Yeah. That's
and
it.
What's on your placard, ma'am?
I have different things. There is one I have. Dominicans, wake up, open up your eyes. Your country needs you. All those things I have.
Yes.
Yeah, and get up and fight. We need to do what we have to do to take back our country.
Yes.
That is our land. That is where that's what one particular person. It's ours, not for one person.
Yes.
We have to
fight. Oh boy, I tell you. And what is it really you want? If you could talk to the Prime Minister, if he's standing right in front of you, what would you say to him today?
Well, I would tell him that government is continuity. If something has started with another government, examine it and then you continue. You understand? If you have, like the Labour Party, you'll not get everybody voting for you. It doesn't matter. You win, you have to take care of the whole country. It's not one set of people. Just take care of the whole country, and everything will be nice.
Yes, that's what you would say.
He has to learn to respect people's opinion. Just respect people. Like he look at you as you're a downcast, but he should be able, as a government, as a prime minister, he should learn to respect people and just work with people.
Yes. I know in the car. Yes, go ahead.
And it's not everything he does that people have to support. If he's doing something wrong, people have a right to say he's doing wrong. And once you tell him that he's doing wrong, if he can, he will do anything. He will kill, he will destroy you, try to destroy you. You might have a business, and if you are speaking, they might just boycott your business. If you have like me, I have my emotions. If I am not supporting, I just might not get any job, you know. And that is what he must understand. He must understand that we are not a one-party state. No, we are becoming a one-party state, but we were a democratic country before, where every views would content. You know, people would share their views and so on. But now, if you say anything concerning him against his party, it's like, you know, they're out to destroy you.
To destroy it. People are maligned and
right.
and all of that. Because you say you differ from his policies.
And that is why he's tear gas in the village like that, because Salisbury people they are not voting Labour, and they will not vote Labour based on what is happening, because we don't support wrong and we believe in development, you know. Because if he was a wise man, the amount of monies we got from the sales of our passport, Dominica should be up at the top, you know. All the other countries pass us, and we are way back. And the monies we have, they never had it, you know. Billions and billions of dollars, and we don't even know where these monies are. It is in the hands of other people, you know. So I look at it, I watching him like he's lacking some basic common sense, you know. And the advisors, the people who are advising him, I don't know how they advise him, because by now he should understand and learn, you know. And he's not learning. Instead, he learns, he's doing worse.
Right, you think he's
Yeah. Because look at Mia Motley. Mia Motley is here. The same Mia Motley that took Ross University from Dominica. He has the same Mia Motley here, talking. I don't know what she's going to say to the people, you know. So all those things, I mean, he have to do something about it. We can't continue like that, you know, because the country will just, because right now we are the last in the Caribbean. We have nothing exporting. And before we had banana.
Right, because I know you had. I mean, I know you have a lot of mangoes.
Yeah, we have.
But if you're saying the mangoes are just rotting on the ground,
all our fruits just rotting.
Right?
Everything.
Let me hear what you were saying.
No, I said all our fruits are wasting. Yeah. But what I would like to tell the Prime Minister, the man who sits in the Prime Minister, as a Prime Minister, I would tell him we need free and fair election. We need our electoral reform, and the electoral reform that the people want, not what he wants. Because we have a population, our voters list, 74,000 people on a voters list, override the population of the country. That's not right, right? That is not right. So we need, what I would have told him right in his face, so we need electoral reform, the real electoral reform, the reform that the people want.
Yes, and I know the wind is going to put a little sound in the mic, but listen, we are in Dominica.
But I could say though.
Yes, can we come in a little bit from that wind? Because you're going to hear it in the microphone.
But you can see the Salisbury have always known as an independent community. They've always stood for working hard, working smart, producing, selling, and looking after themselves and their family. But what hit me on the 19th, when we had this protest outside of Parliament, is a lady who lived lower down. I don't remember her name now. T. She is about 80 something? 86. And she said, Mr. Boston, tell you something. In my 86 years I'm on this earth, what I've seen before the government, when we had an issue and they don't address it, we go to them. If we have a demonstration, some leaders would leave and come and speak to the demonstrators, or they send the police to get the leaders and bring to meet the other leaders. And when the leaders come out, they'll announce to us that they met with the Prime Minister, met with ministers, and in that case, the matter has been resolved and we'll go home. To me, since I'm coming here is, you all come, you all talk, and we go home and come again. And it's police brutality and so on. I not come back here again. What she said, I am standing for my country, not for me, I'm 86 years old, but I have children and I have grandchildren and so on.
Wow.
So I must commend the people of Salisbury, and like they said a while ago, they are not standing because they oppose the government. They're standing because they want better for themselves. And they made the point earlier on, when a government is campaigning, when a party is campaigning, your campaign is a party. Once you get the majority of seats in our system from the government, you're the government of the people.
And that's what you're saying.
You can say, because I didn't win that seat. I must victimize them. I must punish them, and so on. You have to, because they're taxpaying people.
Yes.
You have to serve them like everybody else. And I think any civilized person in this world will understand that the government can't work like that to brutalize people when they ask for support, for not for themselves, but for their community.
And that is the second point of Mayor Mottley.
Yes.
As the chairwoman of CARICOM.
Yeah.
You are in a situation right now. You cannot come to political activity from a party in Dominica as a chairwoman. If you come here on official business, you're welcome. But to come here and to be the front runner of the campaign, you are, if you look at the photo, the flyer they have around, Mayor Mottley is in front of Roosevelt Square. She's like the boss. She's run things in Dominica.
Yeah.
You come into Dominica, you had your first issue you had in 2013, September. You came in as the sole consultant read the electoral reform. You provided a report. We don't know how much you got paid for the report. We are not seeing a copy of your report. It's carried through it all. You won the election on the 24th of May 2018. The 25th you were sworn as Prime Minister. By the 31st, you met the officials of Ross universities. And it took Ross from us. And the morning of when you were going to make the official announcement, Roosevelt came up on radio and said that he had a press conference and said, giving a heads up that Ross will be officially moving to Barbados. You were the Prime Minister. You took Ross from us. Ross is homegrown, 40 years. That is 35% of our GDP.
Yes.
You took away from us. Then you come to 2019, the general elections. Because we protested in Salisbury and Marigot, you were one of the Prime Minister who sent troops to kill us, ambush, brutalize us on the eve of the election. As a Prime Minister in the Caribbean, I said to myself, why am I sending troops on the eve of an election? Mr. Chasney was the chairman of CARICOM at that time. But Mr. Alan Chasney of Barbados, St. Lucia, said recently he was misinformed.
And I thought we had called back his troops.
Yeah, he called back his troops. Yeah, before.
But what about the other islands? You know what they did?
No, they continued. St. Kitts, Antigua, Barbados, St. Lucia, and Grenada. I'm not sure. Yeah, Grenada was there as well because they all formed the RSS and they were here. And so Mayor Mottley has, and then she took Ross. So she had 3 or 4 exes.
I see.
And she had the opportunity right now to right the wrong, to stay away.
Yes.
Because the same village that is going on per capita, I think that is the village that loses the most employees at Ross. It's a small community hamlet of Dubla, and I think they lose the most employees at Dubla, at Ross. They had young people there who got educated through DFRI because of Ross. They got scholarships. The employees got scholarships to as you say.
What's the name of that community again?
Dubla.
Dubla.
That's where she is.
Where she is at this moment.
And after Dubla is the town of Portsmouth. The other place they call Picard. Picard was like a little New York.
Yes.
You had 1,250. The last check before they left, 1,215 students at Ross, with about 430 faculty and staff. These are the people you have to provide housing for, food in the field. You heard of Vanti Vidal said the amount of money he missed. People who bring in food there. That is the amount of activity. People who had to do domestic work and every housekeeping. People providing housing. Now the properties are down there across there. Empty is a ghost town. The property has been devalued by about 40%. They cannot sell. They will not sell. Some leave them abandoned. The banks have them not even taking care of them because they got payback. So millions of dollars of investment went down the drain because that made they snatched us from us. And the people of Portsmouth have been voting Labour Party for about all their lives since 1961 to now, up to now. And you have destroyed the economy. Going to Portsmouth is there like ghost town.
Even mine too, because every Monday my husband and I used to bring limes, oranges, grapefruit, tangerine, you just name it. Every Monday morning, we used to bring for them. So
because you're the farming area, so you would have lost.
So you understand why people, you do the interviews and you understand why people are so emotional from Salisbury. Emotional, they're vexed about it. It's a vexing issue. You as a prime minister, when Mayor became prime minister, I congratulated her. I was a member of parliament. I was
Yes,
happy.
and you were very happy for her.
She brought a different energy. A wind of change is flowing across the Caribbean. But right now you're in bed, it feels very scary.
So let me ask you, because you said something that you really like, women in power, and why did you say that?
I think women they bring a special touch. They look after the details of things and so on. In that case, when the men may be busy looking at that big thing, they might be looking at how much jobs will create and that kind of thing.
The details.
So women in politics, women in power.
So you really liked Mayor Mottley.
When she came in at first as Hector said, when she came in at first as Prime Minister, I knew her before. She was Prime Minister, opposition member, the opposition. In fact, I said earlier on, we brought her here because she was concerned about the influence that Hartley Henry and Peter Wickham had on Skerritt.
Hartley Henry?
Yeah.
Okay, that's another piece of it, guys. Listen, that's they mentioned Hartley Henry. We're going to give you a little bit about that. We've got some juicy information that's going to come to you after this discussion. There is a guy, Miss Telex Reacts, that is in the audience, and we met him today in Portsmouth, and so I know he's on. I sent him the link. And just bear with me, those of you already in the studio. I would like him to come in and to say something, Dr. Ferdinand, because, a lot of Barbadians, this is the first time they're seeing this. And there are people, Dr. Ferdinand, they're still wondering if it is true. And so I want him, I feel like he was there after everything happened. And you know what? Thank God for YouTubers. And he has an amazing YouTube channel. And I'm going to see if he can join us in here. And while we wait on him to join,
Marcia, I just want to say something real quick.
Yes, go ahead, Michelle.
I want to say that you did this interview by yourself. You were on a roll. This was an outstanding piece that you did. I just stood in the back and I watched. This group of people are really passionate about their community, passionate about their politics, passionate about life. I felt, like a sense that I understood because I'm from the diaspora. You have someone there. When you hear things happen at home, you want to get home. You want to get to your community. You leave family in Barbados or in Dominica, and you want to get home when you hear. I can't imagine hearing something like this and someone calling me saying that there are tear gas coming through the windows. I can't imagine. That's why I think we have to listen to what they're saying. We have to be open about this whole situation. I also want to say Dominica, like the gentleman spoke about Ross. I want to tell them that the people of Barbados, their story of Ross, and I'm going to tell you what I know about Ross, is Dominica had a storm and they can no longer support Ross. And that's how Ross comes to Barbados. That is like the story, in a nutshell. It's not where, it wasn't like a political situation. So I want Dominica to understand that the people of Barbados does not know this whole background, this whole story. We welcomed Ross, it was a place they, the government made this decision to bring Ross in, and it was a welcoming situation. We did not have a clue of all of these things going on in the background. So when we have a prime minister that, as far as the opposition and what they tell us that she makes 93 trips or whatever, a lot of times we don't know what she's doing abroad. We don't know. We don't know, I live abroad. I live in America. The president, when they say the president is gone here to do this, we get a little idea of why he left the country and what international business he's doing. When I hear Prime Minister Mottley, 93 trips, what is she doing? Where has she been? Why is she there? Those are the questions that that the
Yeah.
people of Barbados should have to answer, because we're in a situation where we heard one thing, like we see what the news people give us. Oh, Ross needed a home. Barbados is now Ross's new home. That But now there's a whole other big dynamic story behind the whole situation.
Yeah, yeah, very, very well said, Michelle. But we have with us here Mr. Lex, and we met him today, a very strong young man and doing amazing things in Dominica, a leader. We're not saying a future leader. He's a leader because he's a leader in media, because he is taking the story of the people of Salisbury, and he's sharing it to the world, and started doing that even before us. And we only met him today. I didn't even know that he had carried the story when it happened. So I'm going to, guys, let's just allow him to come in and to share with us tonight. Good night, Crystal. Let's remove this banner because we've got to see. We love young people on the show. Crystal, good night. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Man, I'm telling you, some of the things that I'm listening to you guys say, I'm like, are you guys talking about Barbados? Are you talking about Dominica? Because I can see a lot of similarities. For example, when Michelle spoke about the Barbadian Prime Minister leaving Barbados and people not knowing what's happening, the same thing is actually happening in Dominica. And it's like the similarities, you tend to wonder who exactly is really running things. So it's interesting to listen to what is going on and then pretty much relating it back to Dominica.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for that. You see, we didn't know, and this is why, Chrysalis, we need to connect. We want to connect you to some of the young people here in Barbados, especially the like Don Leacock, because he does a lot of videos like yourself, and I think it would be great to connect with him. You're not into politics; you're just reporting on what is happening in your
What's happening
country.
here?
So, talk to us. There was somebody on here who's trying to say that lady, the 86-year-old lady, that she wasn't telling the truth.
Hmm.
Chrysalis, what am I calling you, Mr. Lakes?
Mr. Lex, yeah.
Mr. Lakes, talk to us about that. Talk to us about the night when this occurred in Salisbury.
Okay, so actually, I when I arrived at in Salisbury, because I was there in the morning. I'm not sure if I can share my videos or whatever, but I did two videos. One in
Yes,
the
I can
morning.
give you the capacity to share if you bring it in,
Yeah.
and then we'll put
Okay.
it on the screen. Thank you.
Okay. So I was there in the morning, and when I heard the whole fiasco was happening, so I actually went there. I got to speak to some of the individuals, and I got to see a little bit of the ruckus that was actually taking place between the Salisbury people and the police. They had drones in the sky. They had the whole 9 yards and stuff. And then after everything was calmed down, I left, and then I came back in the nighttime because they had to tell me when things started back so I could go back and start recording. One of the things that I tend to do is to let others know what exactly is taking place in Dominica, because if it wasn't for people like me and Emo News and a number of folks, a number of the things that are taking place in Dominica, nobody would have any clue at all what was taking place in Dominica. And I think that provides some sort of hindrance as to what could have happened if they knew that nobody was covering the stuff. So that's one of the reasons why I tend to do the videos. In the nighttime when I came back, there was a couple of ruckus that was taking place, and the Salisbury people were getting so mad about what was happening that some people decided to retaliate, and some of the folks had to try to keep them calm because of what was happening, because they felt like they were being targeted by the government. And I think one of the reasons why the Salisbury people have been targeted is because they have been steadfast against the government, trying to maintain their independence and not being a begging nation. So I think that's one of the things that the Salisbury people definitely have when it comes on to standing and staying steadfast to who they are. I told the people that I'm from Portsmouth, but I always tell them that I'm from Salisbury as well, because I like the way that they do stuff. There's the independence, true independence. And I think that's how Dominica should really have operated, just like the Salisbury people. So just looking at what happened, I actually have the videos. I was sending for you guys in a
Yeah,
moment.
you can, and what we
Yeah.
can do, we will have a night with Don here and some
Mm.
of those others, YouTubers and so on in Barbados. and so you can share with young people
Yeah.
about. So we're going to set a night for you, believe it or not, because we're not going to let this go. Trust me, we're
Yeah.
not letting it go. We're going to
It
hold
was,
on.
trust me,
Can
it
I
was
comment?
shocking.
Can I comment, Marcia?
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead, Mr. Louis.
Yeah, it is because of this gentleman here, Mr. Licks, that I was informed about everything that was going on in Dominica
Oh, wow.
recently. It is because of watching all of his videos. Every time I get in the vehicle, I will hear Mr. Licks. And I love the way how he speaks. He speaks fast. And I just love that, you know. It makes me laugh. You know, this is a wonderful guy. You know,
I
so
appreciate that, sir.
I really want to commend him for being here. And I want to say to you, sir, it is because of your videos that I was informed about everything that was going on in Dominica
Yeah.
on
Thanks
this
a lot. Thanks a
recent
lot.
incident. Thanks very much.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And listening, because I know I only asked you to come on for a few minutes. I know you probably have your stuff going, and we want to have a night when you guys are when I have the young people on. But how do you're home and you're watching this and you're seeing live, the live watching it. There are 1,300 people, a little over 1,300 people watching live, mainly Barbadians watching it. As a Dominican, how does that make you feel?
Well, it kind of gives me the sense, kind of reminds me like after Hurricane Maria, where a number of persons will focus on zoning in Dominica. And it kind of gives me that chance with the understanding that, hey, okay, we have more people looking at, even if the people in Dominica might want certain things and they're not really getting it, there's a serious force that is against the Dominican people. At least the outside world gets to see it, they get to weigh in, they get to say, okay, this is not right, just like what you guys are doing right there. This is not right, this is not fair. And the people are being abused, and the officials who are doing the abusing think that nothing is going to come from it. But at least we have the overseas world looking at what is taking place and can jump in and give their input as well. So I think just that sentiment alone, I think, is a wonderful thing for the people of Dominica, so we can move forward and see what else can be done, especially knowing that, hey, sometimes when you go to other places, because I've traveled a number of Caribbean countries, and because of my videos, they get to feel sorry for what is taking place in Dominica, and sometimes even want to help you to move. Sometimes like, you love Dominica, you want to go back all the time, and these kind of things. It's just that the political atmosphere and the economy sometimes can be weighing down on the people. So
yeah. So, Miss, before you go, I want to ask you, you basically you live. Do you? Oh, well, I should ask you. Do you consider yourselves living in a one-party state?
that's an interesting question. Consider ourselves living in a one-party state.
25 years,
There's
you've had
the reason,
one
yeah,
prime
the
minister.
reason why I'm a bit hesitant is still because there's still some level of opposition taking place.
Explain.
Because we have a number of persons who actually, decided that they want to be a part of Dominica. They could have left, but have still decided to stood firm to try to get the people to open their eyes. I think what is happening in Dominica, the people are feeling a bit defeated. They're feeling defeated. Like, for example, we talk about electoral reform and this kind of things there. A number of persons would say, I'm not going to vote. The reason why they're saying that they're not going to vote is simply because they feel like the elections is rigged. And as a result of the rigged election, because we know that the government tends to go overseas and get people to come in to vote. So even if we believe that Dominica itself wants change, the government will always go overseas to get more people to come and vote to tilt the elections into
Wait,
favor.
explain. What do you mean people, they go overseas and get vote? People, you're right. Explain that to us.
So the government brings people through charts, not charts, ferry. They bring them through chartered flights. I mean, you can literally see it's not anything people making up or anything like that. You can literally see the planes in the airport and the amount of people coming in to participate in the elections. And of course, all these kind of things, you is not any hearsay. You literally seen it in your eyes. So they
So
go.
you're saying this is not what some you see the boats there.
This,
The
yeah.
airport is full, like, because here
Yeah,
we have airport full at Christmas or
that's exactly what's
October.
happening. Even after elections, you can see people are trying their best to leave. It's not like they're gonna be staying for a week. They are leaving. The airport is jam packed with people trying to leave after elections. Every election we see this happening.
What?
But Dominicans, right? What you're saying, they're bringing in people, but please tell us that they're Dominicans.
Well, some might say they're Dominicans, but the thing is, once you have a Dominican passport, the possibility of you being able to vote is there. Because there's also the indication of dead people voting. I'm sure you guys have heard this sentiment before. There's also people voting in multiple places in Dominica. There's also people who are getting money. I actually have a friend of mine whose father came down to vote, got the money, and went back. So these things tend to take place. And this is why we always say, because one of the things one of the friend of another friend of mine is saying, she believes that the United Workers Party, the opposition, needs to do more. And I'm telling her, yes, I understand that they need to do more, but at the same time, if doesn't matter who does more or whatever, if the system is rigged, doesn't matter who comes, what else the people do, because the government goes overseas to get people to come in to vote, and it will tilt the scale. The very opposition leader, Dr. Thompson Fontaine, indicated that only 5 constituencies were tilted as a result of 240 people. And one of the things that the government tends to do, it brings in, I think, Peter Wickham to come and do surveys or whatever. And then, they try to bring in people in the necessary fields or necessary constituencies for them to tilt the scale. So that says a lot about what is going on. This is why, people feel defeated or might not want to vote. And hey, what's the point of me voting? Because they're still going to be winning. That's the sentiment right there. So.
And you said something there. You mentioned a name, Peter Wickham. We also hear the name, Henry. Hartley Henry. These are our Barbadians, and I want Barbadians to listen. And you see why so many people were angry. Even people in this audience, they did not want her to be there. Don't mind, but they got free food and they got transportation and all of that. And I'm going to let Mr. Lex speak about that, but understand that it's a series of things, and they could name of so many Barbadians that they feel that they are involving themselves in the politics of Dominica. But let me ask you, Mr. Lex, before you go, I want to ask you to summarize for us. Summarize why Dominicans would, I saw some things on your social media, because you guys have your Dominica social media, and I saw people were sending me things. I could not believe the level of disgust that they had for Mia Mottley. Young people, old people. Can you, as a young man, you're a young man, summarize for us exactly why they had a challenge with the Prime Minister, Mia Mottley, coming to this event, this particular event, even as in her capacity as chairman of CARICOM? Can you explain?
So one of the things that Mia Mottley, outside of Ross, because we know that the people of Dominica are pretty much angry with Mia Mottley on the merit that they believe that she took it from Dominica with the help of the Prime Minister, which is very interesting. But outside of that aspect right there, we also know that Mia Mottley helped send a number of military personnel to Dominica, who actually have a video on that as well. And she sent a number of persons to Dominica to try to keep the people down. One of the things, she actually wrote a letter to the opposition leader, Dr. Thompson Fontaine, indicating that the people apparently don't have a right to assemble, even though the Constitution literally states that the people have a right to assemble and peacefully protest. One of the things that the police force did is they prevented the people from having this peaceful assembly because of the electoral reform that was going to be passed, and the people were not in agreement of what was taking place, and they put up barricades to try to, I guess, antagonize or to make the people angry to then react in a certain way. And I think they were probably trying to look for bloodshed, it seems, because for some reason or the other, you can't tell me the people have a right to protest when they believe that something is working against them. The police comes and prevents that. Mia is sending military backup to then intimidate the people again just like what happened in Salisbury. And one of the things that we as humans tend to do, we also tend to relate back to certain things that has happened in Dominica. It was the very first time, I'm sure, that people might not be ruffled, but because of what took place in Salisbury, multiple times, we know what the RSS tends to do. So infringing on the right of the people, given not just by the Dominican constitution, but on a global scale, and we are literally seeing this being dwindled down. One of the things that I think the reason for that is because the government does not want people to protest. And the reason why it does not want people to protest, because they know that this protest goes international. And if they can prevent people from protesting, then that dwindles down the ability of the people, and then we just have a stagnant nation. And that is not a good thing when it comes on to democracy at all.
Yeah, because when we spoke to you today, you were very concerned about that letter that she wrote, because in your mind as a young person, you are saying, doesn't she realize that what we did is in our constitution? How could she write that? Can you tell us, do you remember the exact line on that letter?
I wish I could have had that letter there.
I know, I saw it.
I can definitely get it. I can definitely get it.
Yes, go ahead, speak, and we're going to get the letter. Go ahead.
But yeah, so that letter, Dr. Thompson Fontaine wrote a letter to Mia Motley on the regard of not sending the RSS to Dominica because the people have a right to protest. And it seems like they were more focused on the Riot Act, but there was no rioting happening. I'm not sure why they used the Riot Act in the first place, because the people just peacefully assembled. The police put up barricades to prevent the people from entering where the parliament was. And it's not to say the people were going to cause havoc. They were just peacefully assembling with placards. Even today, we are hearing information that, you know, the Minister of National Security is telling people if they come up with placards or anything like that, there's a possibility that they will be arrested. So that tells you the kind of state that we are in Dominica. It's a very serious state. And when it comes down to the economic factor, a lot of people are quiet because they do not want to lose their jobs. They don't want to lose their homes. They don't want to lose a number of things. So even though a number of persons might want to come out and, you know, protest with the protesters, they feel like they will lose something. And as a result of that, there's the dwindling of protests happening in Dominica, even though we have the right to protest.
Yeah, because Michelle and I would have seen, Dr. Ferdinand, a lot of people that were put in jail. I mean, decent people, people that, you know, Christian people, lawyers, educated people, that they am I not telling the truth,
100%.
Mr. Lex?
Yeah, 100%.
You
even
yourself
the lawyer,
you were put in jail for 2 days. You were in jail for 2 nights.
I was there, but my own was kind of different because I was doing real estate, flying a drone, land it, and they decided to try to get me for something. Espionage, actually. They were trying to get me on, and that ended up falling apart right there. But there was even the lawyer who was defending the people who were being put in jail. He too was brought in as well. So that's very interesting.
Wow. Very,
you know,
very. And yeah, go ahead, Dr. Ferdinand.
What I'm listening to, this is not Dominica. This has got to be Rwanda. This is not the kind of thing you hear in the Caribbean. This is not the kind of thing that we're used to. And what concerns me, Marcia, is that you hear nothing coming from the heads of CARICOM, the leaders of CARICOM. We've heard the IACHR express the violations of human rights, etc. The whole aspects of the right to assemble and that is constitutionally established in every single island in the Caribbean. Our constitutions are not that dramatically different. Like if we are, you know, Democrats and democratic, and you're dealing with Russia, our constitutions throughout the Caribbean are very similar. And what I'm hearing here is a denial of the fundamental rights of people. And this is something, to be honest with you, Mr. Lix, that needs to go to the International Court of Human Rights, not just the International Commission. I think this needs to be carried to the international court, just like how
And I think they're
Guyana.
doing that. They're doing
Yeah,
that.
Good,
CBI,
good,
yeah.
good, good. Just like how Guyana took their situation with Venezuela to the international court, this has to get to that level in order for these people to understand that you cannot deny in a democratic environment. If this was China, what I'm hearing, I don't even hear this in China, because at least I don't know if you all have realized that over the past several months there have been significantly large protests in China
Yes.
that have not been broken up or anything. And you're talking about Dominica, the Caribbean. This is pardon me, this is a joke, right? This is fictitious.
I wish it was.
Thank you,
Jesus.
Mr. Lex. I want to invite you on another time to have this discussion with young people throughout the region. And I want you to go, but because I don't want to keep you. I told you just a couple of minutes, but somebody had a comment on here, and I want you to. I want us to address this with Mr. Lex here, and it's our friend Pedro. And because he doesn't know, so he's asking the question. And he said here, and we are discussing primarily the 2019 event when the tear gas was thrown into the people's homes while they were sleeping at 4 a.m. And so Pedro is asking, who threw the first stone? Was it the police or was it the protesters? What would you answer to that?
Who threw the first what?
Stone. Or
Stone?
who are the people doing attacking? Did the people provoke the police for the police to tear gas them in their beds at 4 o'clock in the morning?
So previously they blocked the roads. There was no throwing of stones in that regard right there. But in the early morning when they actually escalated things, everybody was
at
sleeping.
4 a.m. At 4 a.m.
Everybody was sleeping. And they decided, I guess they were probably trying to intimidate the people to make them not want to vote, because it was around election time during that time. So maybe if we come and bring tear gas, maybe the people might be scared to not come out. I'm just giving that could be a possibility.
Mr. Lex, pause right there, because you said a whole lot in that moment, Michelle.
You bet.
Yes,
you bet.
It was Barbadians. This is a stronghold that does not vote for the government. And they tear gas the people at 4 a.m. in the morning. And this was now the day before the elections or the day of the election. It was going into the day of the elections.
Yeah.
And they tear gas them from 4 a.m. to 12 noon is what the people said. 8 hours of tear gassing, guys.
Yep.
Think about that. And they but they had elections. Was it the next day, Mr. Lex? Or the
I
same
think it was
day?
either the same day or the next day, but elections was very close around that time.
Okay, continue.
Yeah.
We just needed to give them that backdrop. Go ahead, Mr. Lex.
So that, like I indicated before, it's most likely had to do with the election, probably trying to intimidate people, making them not want to come out, and because one of the things the government was saying months ago, I was actually in the rally that they actually had in Portsmouth, and one of the things the government wanted to do was to have a clean sweep. So in having his clean sweep, he would need to get Salisbury and Marigot. These are the strongholds against the government right there. And, he always says that he even stated it yesterday, that he wants to have no opposition at all. So if the people who are against him, he's trying to do things to, it pretty much tells you, who the individual is when it comes on to wanting a totalitarian kind of output. And as a result of that, the people of Salisbury will fight tooth and nail. This is one of the things I really like about the Salisbury people. They will not just take it lying down,
Yeah, they're saying the protest was December 5th, 2019. So when was the election? What date was the election?
The election, let me see.
Hector, when was the election?
It was in December as well.
In 2019, because we're dealing specifically with 2019. Okay, so thank you, Adrian. December
The
5th
6th.
was so December 6th was the
Yeah.
election day, and they tear gas. You're gonna tell me this is not unnecessary force? They tear gas them for 8 hours.
Mhm. And the thing is, they didn't have to do this. Everybody was calm. Everybody was chill at that time. People were sleeping. You didn't have to do this stuff. I would understand if the people were on the road and you said, "Hey, unblock the road," and you take gas at the people or whatever.
The people who are down there,
Yeah.
but
But
not the
they went
80
up to
something
their
year old woman.
houses and tear gas. A number of persons died, from what I understood, because of that situation right there. So that level of injustice on the people, and that is a complete rejection of the people's constitutional right. It's like you don't even have the right to sleep anymore, because they can just come in and tear gas you. Don't say, okay, let them wake up or something of that sort while they were sleeping.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm going to pause there because somebody said we got to bring you back. And because I did promise the people will discuss a little bit of Hartley Henry. And I put a bit of, we got a little bit of the politics we want to discuss before we go. And we will invite you again, Mr. Lix. Thank you for being a soldier.
Thanks for having me.
A strong Carib soldier. You look like a Carib, a strong Carib soldier.
I am Kalinago.
You are.
I've
but
already,
I'm mixed, so yeah.
You're mixed with some African.
Yeah.
I've already started to look at his because I didn't hear about him before tonight, and I've already started to look at his channel.
Right there, where are we going to find him? I'm going to be watching his videos before, and we also have he interviewed us today, and we also interviewed him.
Yeah, that video
I
comes
thought
up
that
tomorrow.
was wonderful. Huh?
Yeah, I'll be posting that video tomorrow on BRB.
Tomorrow? Oh wow! Okay, awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to have you.
Thanks
And
for
again,
having me.
thanks to Hector John for what you're doing. Thank you so much, sir.
Hey,
and may God bless you. Stay safe.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes, bye-bye. Oh my goodness. Oh, guys, where do we? I don't even know. I've made some promises, Victor, Lewis. You know, we're gonna talk to you. Don't log off, guys. Hang in there. We got some bombshells to drop on you tonight. Okay, so listen to this. What's important here? Let's go into a little bit of the politics here. Dr. Ferdinand, I want you to hear this clearly. That Mia Mottley, this is a fact.
This is not misinformation or false information. This is a fact.
In 2013. So follow the years. Write it down, Dr. Ferdy and everybody. 2013. The Prime Minister, well, she was in opposition then, right? Remember? She would have been in opposition then because she got in power in 2018. In 2013, she was employed by the government of Dominica to do research and to give a report on electoral reform, right? Right? She was supposed to research and report because they had some irregularities, and she was concerned about this. Okay, listen now. This is when she was in opposition. Barbadians, listen to what I'm telling you. And those that are in the comments, you can, from Dominica, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But these are the documents that I read, and the others backed me up with it. They were so she did a report in 2013. What I read and what I was told in Dominica is that up until this day, the public has not seen the light of day of that report. Nobody has seen the report on electoral reform that was the public. Let me paraphrase that. Okay, the public, they have not seen it. She would have she interviewed people from the opposition. Hector John was in parliament at the time, and various other persons, and they said all of that was done, but they have not seen the report on electoral reform that was done by Mia Mottley when she was in the opposition. Listen now. Okay, and so these are things that the Dominicans add up all of this. And here it is that she came to do this research because of the irregularities that she's saying that was happening with the election in Dominica. Did a report, and the civil society they're saying that they have not seen this report. And if there's anybody from the prime minister's office or anybody, who can say that this was delivered to the public of Barbados, or even from Skerritt's administration, please provide that for us. But the fact is that the report was done. That is what I mean as a fact. Anything else? You know what? This is what is being reported to us. And that, I think, is very important. Right? So hold that in your head, guys, as we watch a little bit more of this video. The plot thickens. And Hector John is saying they don't know how much the opposition leader, Mia Mottley, was paid in 2013. That has not been disclosed. This is what they're saying. I'm reporting what was said. Okay? Okay? So, Dave, if you could continue playing the video for me. And as they're speaking, I promise you, if you take some notes, you're going to see a pattern here. All right, Dave, can you go ahead and play some more of that video? Thank you. No, not her speaking. Not her speaking. I'm sorry. I meant of while we were in Dominica. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dave. Yes, go ahead. Thanks.
Because they were at the time.
But are they the ones behind her success?
Remember, they were in the DLP.
They were in the DLP.
Okay, Dave, go back a little bit.
When Thompson died.
Dave, pause. Just pause a bit and go back
really,
a little bit.
Women.
Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah.
Women in power. And why did you say that?
I think women, they bring a special touch. They look out for the details of things and so on. In that case, when the men may be busy looking at that big thing, they might be looking at how much jobs they'll create and that kind of thing.
The details.
Yeah. So women in politics, women in power, is something to encourage.
So you really liked Mia Mottley.
When she came in at first, as Hector said, when she came at first as Prime Minister, I knew her before. She was Prime Minister as opposition member. The opposition. In fact, I said earlier on, we brought her here because she was concerned about the influence that Hartley Henry and Peter Wickham had on Skerritt.
Hartley Henry?
Yeah. And they know it because they were at the time.
But are they the ones behind her success?
Remember, they were in the DLP.
They were in the DLP.
With Thompson.
They were with Thompson.
When Thompson.
Pause right there. Pause right there. Pause there. Everybody. I'm telling you, listen carefully.
That's right. That's right.
Ignore okay, all right. So ignore the naysayers in the chat. Listen, this man on the screen has been in politics for 50 years. And listen, he's going to give you a key. This is a key nugget about politics at the moment in Barbados. He's saying that both Wickham and Henry were part of the DLP machinery. Listen carefully. Listen. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dave.
They could not control Stewart as they had influence with Thompson.
All right, Dave, go back. Go back, Dave. Go back.
Yes, they were at the time.
But are they the ones behind her success?
Remember, they were in the DLP.
Okay, let's wait for Dave to go back a little bit. Can you go back just a little bit, just a tiny bit? Thank you.
In fact, I said earlier on, we brought her here because she was concerned about the influence that Hartley Henry and Peter Wickham had on Skerritt.
Hartley Henry?
Yeah. And they know it because they were at the time.
But are they the ones behind her success?
Remember, they were in the DLP.
They were in the DLP.
With Thompson.
They were with Thompson.
When Thompson died and took over, they could not control Stewart as they had influence with Thompson. So they left the party and become the LP.
The kingmaker died.
So since
the king died.
Yeah.
So then the kingmaker.
Right.
So these two guys, you're saying that they were part of the DLP.
Yes.
And so Motley came to Dominica to do what?
We invited her to Dominica, and her primary interest was the IPO, Integrity Public Office Act.
Yes.
What was being administered, so we could explain to her what was going on, and she was interested in the Freedom of Information Act, okay, and whistleblowing protection, because the idea was the IPO cannot work properly if it doesn't have these two Freedom of Information
Act. Yes.
So we had that discussion with her, and then she spoke on what we call in the population called Martin in the Morning, and the primary thing as well was to bring her here to be called to the bar, so she could help us to fight reform.
Okay, fight reform.
So she and I think a Simon guy, Terry Simon or whatever his name.
Kerry Simon.
They came together. There were two lawyers. He was a lower rank, and she was Queen Counsel. So when we went to the court for them to be, called to the bar here, a lawyer we had put together to sponsor them could have done Terry, but could not have done Mayor, because the lawyer, Mayor, was of a higher level as a Queen Counsel. So Tony Asselman was in the court, and he volunteered to sponsor her. And
so she could work here.
So she could work here as a lawyer.
So she could work here
and
as
if you're called to a certain jurisdiction as a lawyer, you have to study the laws of the country.
Yes.
So if you get into the court, you
right. And when she came here, she was concerned about you're saying Wickham and Hartley, Henry,
and the influence on Dominica,
and their influence on Dominica,
and they would kill democracy.
And her thing is that they would kill democracy. Yeah. And you're laughing. Why are you laughing?
Because right now, birds of a feather flock together. They're together right now. They're in bed right now. Hartley, Henry, what's his name? Peter Wickham. You have another one called Charles John. There's Passad. They're all together. They move in the Caribbean.
And your allegation is that you believe they're killing the democracy of...
Yes. Because what now you have is they call it right now in Dominica is Roman conquerors. That's the type of campaign they have. It's give you a lot of music.
Roman conquerors?
Yeah, conquerors, the Chiscas.
Oh,
God. Roman conquerors politics they have right now. And see what is plenty of music. They give you the rum, they give you conquerors, and that's it.
Rum and I just got it. Rum and conquerors.
So it's not about the message.
So they've changed the whole...
Granville Adams, the Errol Barrows, the Owen Arthurs. When they came into Dominica and they go to other islands, it's all about the message. Because these people came from the unions. They understand what the poor man went through. So they would come here and the messages they'll come on maybe during conventions, but not during the campaigns or not during a political activity. And Mayor right now is the chairwoman of CARICOM. You just tell yourself, let me take a step back.
And especially if she had come to, do research on that and to preserve the democracy of Dominica, because here are these two men that she felt, that was meddling with, was affecting the democracy.
But just to one thing what he said, when the leaders would have come in or represented from the party to speak at convention, they would not speak about the other party. No. They spoke mainly about regional issues, how we could collaborate on bananas, on trade, tourism, and investment. But they would never take a swipe at the leader of another party. They focus more. I just saw recently when Skerrit brought Philip J. Pierre and Deacon. They were actually giving blows and said, those of us who are not supporting Skerrit, basically we angry and we're enemy. How can you call
and you would have expected that she would be concerned about that. But one of you said that Mr. Frondell Stewart. That because I don't think a lot of people even remember that these two guys were part of the DLP, and Frondell got rid of them. Is that what happened? What do you know? What did you hear in Dominica?
Well, they could control Frondell Stewart. I think
he's been in politics 50 years.
Yeah, they could not control Control Stewart.
They couldn't control Stewart. But people think Stewart is such a, you know, that he's so soft and everything, but they couldn't control him.
So they left the party. Because Scary, I don't remember when Scary brought after, it was 2014. Jing actually brought Thompson.
Yeah.
Thompson was a guest speaker at the inauguration.
Yeah, 2005.
Right. So
2008.
So it was 2005.
Yes.
And I remember together they said we'll get boats. And we will have trade between Barbados and Dominica.
Yes, he did say that.
In terms of fruits.
Yes, oh yes, that was a big part of his manifesto and everything, right? Right.
He died 2009, 2009.
So you're saying right now that these two guys would be very upset with Frondel Stewart because he would not allow them to control him. Wow, that explains a lot.
And Mayor did not like them when they were in the DLP. Because she thought they would kill democracy in Dominica, and we should ensure that they doesn't have that chance to do so. And since they joined her, she had become the biggest destroyer of democracy.
Wow. Listen, ladies, but your ladies, you cannot. I'm sure you want me and Motley to come to because you're women. Women, you gotta stand with you. Listen, what happened?
We're supposed to stand with me and Motley.
Yes.
No, we can't stand with her because she's not standing with rights for 14.
She's not
standing with the democracy.
She's not standing with democracy.
Once you are not doing what is right, we cannot stand with you.
Okay.
Yes.
And you don't think she's standing with democracy?
She's not standing with democracy. From what we know she's done or who she's dealing with.
Yes, and what you see in her hand moving in Dominica. Okay.
No, we cannot stand.
That's your opinion. Okay. We can't stand.
And we won't.
Wow. And is this a partisan stand, meaning that the Blues are the ones who are saying they don't want Mia Motley, and then the other people who are Reds, they're welcoming her? Or do you find that generally people are a little not they're not too okay with her?
Maybe no. I wouldn't say it's because of the color. Democracy is our country.
Okay.
What our country. If our country is not democratic, it is communist, right? And we do not want communism.
Right.
We know what communism is. I know what communism is. So we don't want that in our country. And everything is destroyed because of we don't have democracy. And if Mia Motley is standing against democracy, we want to welcome her. We cannot stand with her. Even though we love women, like the gentlemen say, they're happy, like Mr. Bosso said, Austin said, that we were happy for the women because the women can do something. God make us special. God make us special. We are multitaskers.
Yeah.
We are builders. You understand? We push the men up. If the men kind of lag, we prop them up.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
It's true.
So that is what we have. We have to stand with women, yes. But if you're not on the right footing, we cannot stand.
You can't stand. So when Mia Motley had gotten into power, I guess you were in the USA at that time?
Yes, I was.
And what was it? You felt that was a good thing for Barbados?
For Barbados, yes.
You were very excited about it? But then, because she was sworn in, she won the election the 24th.
And so on the
25th, and she took Ross on the 26th.
On the 31st, she was meeting the officials of Ross.
Imagine that.
On the which day?
The 31st of May.
The 31st of May.
So 5 days later.
5 days later.
Yeah.
5 days later, Ross was gone.
Yes, taking breath from my mouth.
So that means that negotiation with Ross started with Hartley Henry and Peter Wickham and Skerritt and all the others before that.
That's what you think. That's your allegation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you look at it, and that's why a lot of Dominicans, as I said, and you asked a question about because of the blue and red. Ross was in the red zone. They call it in Dominica, in local parlance, they call it the Jean de Patat, the potato gun of Labour Party. That's the vote. And that's where Ross is from. And it took Ross to strip it off from Portsmouth. I mean, we in Salisbury got affected indirectly. Well, my house was being rented for Ross as well.
Oh, students.
Right, a professor.
Okay.
Stayed in my house for 4 years. And they moved straight from my house to villas that Skerritt and them built in Savant by some of the villas eventually owned by Skerritt. So that's where we are. And that's why you'll see people from Salisbury not angry towards Barbados, not angry towards Mia as a woman, but angry to our policies and principles.
To the policies of Mia's, Mia's policies.
Yeah, unethical behavior as a leader.
You think it's unethical?
Very much so. How can you tell me you're taking, as a fellow Caribbean country who is advanced, who take livelihood 35% of GDP from another country, instead of saying, let me see if I can mediate between Ross and Sarah and say, let us work together and leave Ross.
But I don't hear Skerrit. I don't hear Skerrit complaining. So why are you guys are complaining because your pocket you felt it in your pockets. But why I don't hear Skerrit complaining?
He benefits from it.
That's an allegation.
He have other ways of benefiting.
Okay.
And he doesn't really need Ross, you know. And as we understand that it is alleged that Ross, where Ross is in Barbados, he has some interest in it. It is alleged.
Oh.
Maloney.
With
Coverly.
Oh no, you're gonna so
we know our history. We know our history.
So you're alleging
yes.
that that where the students are in Barbados, that particular place, that your prime minister has. That's your allegation. Oh Lord.
Because if you look at the soon after the Mayor Motley got into office, how you see Matt Maloney moving to Dominica. Even before she became prime minister, he got a contract to build what's the company's name, the Precast Housing.
Preconco
was given multi-million-dollar contract to build 1,000 houses.
Where?
In Dominica after the hurricane, provide housing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We have, I don't know if you got 100, but the planning division stopped them because they said they were too weak for Dominica. So we do not know if the money was returned to us or what come on the money.
Wow.
Maloney had the opportunity as well to bring down hard rock cement in Dominica. He has a company, he had it in Canefield. That because job for the boys. Look, now it is alleged now the extension of the runway at Melvin Hall. They do have to put maybe close to 400 feet. They had some a company from Jose Y. Jose, and it's alleged that he's part of the company as well. So and Mayor Motley as well. It is alleged. So you see what is happening in job.
So that's why you guys. If all of that is true, which we don't know, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if it is true, but it's all. But because of all of that, Barbados. Those rumors then we say about the whole thing, and it's all of those people are from Barbados.
Yes, the gang around her. So she and her crew.
Oh, okay.
And the same crew works with Red Skerrit.
Okay, so that's why that Barbados issue is there. I see.
So Hadley Henry, Peter Wickham, and the others have been part of the king-making team around the in Dominica.
Around Skerrit.
Around Skerrit. And if you see them from so maybe 2009 or 2000, they have been there constantly, every election. And they bring in, as I said, the music and the Roman concourse and everything. That's what they give us. So people come there, they hear the loud noise, they clap. When they go home, when they see clippings of it, now they realize what they were clapping for. They try to remember what they were clapping for. And it's not about the issues where people can discuss the issues on how we want to advance our country as a people, how we want to see the country move, how we look at harmonize the laws around the region, election laws, you know, how we do that together in terms of agriculture. Make Barbados maybe the tourism hub, Dominica's the agriculture hub. Let's look at the different islands.
I see, yes.
St. Lucia as the culture hub, Trinidad, you look at it as the industrial hub.
And develop together. Right. That's
we're not doing that.
Yeah. But what you say?
It's not taking from each other.
Complementing each other.
Complement each other, yes. And why would a leader want to take your bread from your mouth? Why? That person is not straight in their head. You're not straight in your head. You are leading people. And
so is it a case where, because I think what was told to us in Barbados, is that you weren't able anymore to facilitate Ross?
No, because Ross had expanded,
Yes.
If you go down, they'll see Ross had expanded, making preparation for the expansion.
Okay.
And there were some challenges which Ross and government could iron out.
Yes,
and they came to Dominica to discuss with the government to iron out the situation. But the Prime Minister, who's head of government, stayed in Roseau, to negotiate with a guy called Joseph Isaac, because in the Prime Minister's head, it's not about development and growth. It's how we could destroy the opposition. So to him, Ross going and getting Joseph Isaac, is a good thing for him. So he sent a lower level person into Portsmouth to speak with Ross. And these people felt, at this, I want to see you because we have some challenges. Why this guy? And all that really, infuriated their living.
Right.
But there's a question earlier about we're complaining, the Prime Minister was complaining. You know why he's not complaining? His comfort for a vote is to make the place miserable. No jobs. So if you're dependent on him, obviously his vote is short. But if you're independent and you can hold your own, feed your family and yourselves, the role of government for you is to build public infrastructure, okay, and provide security and law and order and so on. But you create your own jobs, you have been employed. If you're unemployed, then you can say, I help you and you vote for me. I mean, you build houses for people, government houses. You know, I told people, when the opposition come to you, tell them get up to scary step and send hot water on them.
Yeah.
So that's why he's not complaining.
Right.
But
Okay.
we, the people who have felt the impact,
the business people,
business people, the persons who rented houses down there, the persons who provide
farmers,
farmers, those who provide services in the houses, lose that, domestic workers, then they will always complain. You imagine you build a house and you're getting rent every month. Because I used to be in Portsmouth and I could see the activity at Whitchurch. When you go there, you see the students lined up there withdrawing from the ATM. It's like a whole carnival, you know. And to Portsmouth, like it was a thing.
Right. It really
because of Ross, Whitchurch built $1 million business down there. You have KFC down there, so it tells you the areas felt that impact.
Yes,
And now
yes.
they left. You go to Portsmouth.
It's a ghost town, so the people are feeling that. So even the people in Portsmouth who normally vote for Skerritt, they would be complaining.
They are complaining. In their homes.
They complain in the homes.
Behind closed doors.
Okay, they're behind closed doors.
We could say the 17th F anniversary of Labour belonged to Portsmouth.
Yeah.
That's the only seat in Dominica that have not voted in another party.
Yeah, only Labour.
Only seat, only Labour.
What do you mean?
The Labour Party started in May 24th, 1955. Labour won the elections of 1961. And the people of Portsmouth is only community in the constituency in Dominica that have been voting Labour since that time. I have never changed.
Wow, and that was done to them.
Yeah, that was done to them, and they still Labour.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
That is something else. That is something else. Well, listen, this has been a real education for me. You guys were saying things that I know the average Bajan, they don't know. Some of it, so, we can't verify, right? We can't verify. We don't know if Skerritt and has any shares in Maloney's place there, where the students are.
But when you go back, you can ask.
I can ask a question. Okay, well, I could ask a question on your behalf to see what has happened there. What's the name of that place again? Where the kids are staying? Maloney's place. In Culver Lane.
It's Culver Lane.
It's Culver Lane.
Yes, all there, but we don't know of that, you see. So we can ask some questions because we don't know.
But the Bajans to take comfort in. We in Dominica, I would say the region, have always respected Barbados.
Yes.
In fact, we refer to Barbados as small England.
Right.
Small England.
Yeah. In terms of education, in terms of the people, we always appreciate Barbados. Right.
So
you notice all of us here have to go to Barbados for a visa.
Yes.
And we never complain.
So that's why you feel so let down, because you look up to Barbados.
And the other good thing about that Barbados, we're accustomed to leaders, and he made the point earlier on, like Barrow, like Tom Adams, and these guys, Standerford, these guys, who have stood for principles.
Yeah.
And they will say to a prime minister when they're going round,
right.
and so forth. They would have done that. But we just find Mayor Mottley have just broke that. She's like, it's as if a different type of politician who have been on the loose. And she's affecting not only Barbados, but us. Because we wrote to her as chairman of CARICOM, and she never even said to us, I will investigate. What she should have done is to have an audience with Scarlet Party, UWP, and whoever else involved to find out the facts. And I told you when there was an issue in St. Vincent and Caracon, the OECS, when they called Ralph Gonzalez together and James Mitchell together, and they resolved the issue by saying to them, because since Ralph was claiming that he won the majority, he got the popular votes, and Mitchell got more seats. Yeah. So he felt he had a claim to the government.
And they were able to
figure it out, and they went to an early election.
Right.
That's why Ralph Gonzalez is prime minister up to now.
Right. And so you would have expected her to do that. And what I mean, I know especially women, you know. Listen, you know, we met a lady that we had to tell her, you know, yeah, we're Bajans, but listen, we, you know, we're not connected with me and Motley because she was going to light us up. She said, you know me, you know, she called her Leah. She said, you know Leah Motley? I said, we only know of her. And she's like, she was giving it to her. You know, the women, listen, can I just let you all know that Barbadians, they're the most wonderful people. And a majority of them, they don't even understand the pain that we have experienced, we have seen here in Dominica, honestly. And I think that once they understand that, they'll be able to empathize with you. And so I just want to say sorry to you. You've lost your business, all of that. You know, we want to say sorry to you on behalf of the rest of the Bajans, because that's not who Barbadians are. You know, they're really, really kind people. As you've said over the years, you've dealt with the prime ministers, and it has not been that way.
And that's why the people of Salisbury would like to see, at least if she tried to make amends by apologizing as the Prime Minister of Barbados to the people of Salisbury, what transpired on December 5th, 2019. That is, we will never forget. But I think by apologizing to the people, at least...
Is it Chastanet? Did he apologize?
By the way he spoke, yes, I would feel that he regretted the action.
He regretted the action.
Yeah, because he was misinformed, you know, but instead of showing that level of empathy and sympathy towards the community of Salisbury and what transpired while they were sleeping, we seen she rubbing salt into the wound by coming here on a political stage. I think that is what really driving people in the community emotionally.
Right. Even though other countries were involved, you felt that what she has done since.
That as chairwoman of CARICOM,
you're expecting more.
That is a sticking point. She should say, okay, Mr. Scarrett, even though it's your 70th anniversary, but I'll pass on that one. You're going to be linger in our hearts and our minds that Mayor is not about softening the tension, easing the tension, ensuring that we have a unified region and working together. We will, unless we see that level of apology coming from her, we will not feel that to forgive or even to at least try to get closer to her, to Barbados. We're not against Barbados. As I said, she's as a leader of the country. What she has done is unthinkable. I mean, just
unforgivable.
Human rights violation, brutality towards the people.
Yes.
You know, and I'm hoping that common sense will prevail. And when she go back home, she'll sit down and think about it. When she sees some of the song bites coming from Dominica, she'll begin to, and from Salisbury.
Yes, so we'll be able to understand. Because it's like it was a lot of pylon, you know, a lot of things.
Her coming here, what she had, because we wrote to on the 18th. Election from coalition. She did not reply. We got what you call an automatic response, which most offices of prime ministers have. She only responded to us after the 19th. And in her response, she said she understood that we did not have permission from the police. No, she's a lawyer, she's a Queen Counsel, she's a bright lawyer. Okay? So she should know and inform herself. She could practice law here, so she should know the law down here. But coming here, having said that to us in a letter, coming here to speak at the platform in what is politically charged as a campaign event, right? She's saying to the world that those of us who were arrested, three of us, I was one of you, one of them.
You're arrested? Yes. And you were arrested as well?
No, not
okay.
So what she's actually saying to the world that we are right, we are wrong, and everything is right. And her coming days also give him the encouragement to misinterpret and to victimize people and to destroy their rights to assemble, their right to free speech and so forth. And this is something we are saying openly that we will not tolerate. And you asked a question earlier about those who go there. As I said earlier on, certain habits people, so some will go, that's their business. But I can tell you, I've spoken to a lot of labor rights who tell you they're not so happy about she coming.
Even the people from Skerritt's party.
They don't see her as what they felt in other leaders who come here. They see her as one who have betrayed them, and they're using that betrayal as more to do with Ross and things like that. Even some of those persons who supported the Labour Party were very upset the way they behaved with Hector John, in the way I was of the night.
Yeah, 8:30 they came at my
home and so on. Hector always in his mouth and service to people. Hector not a stone-throwing man, he's not a person, myself. And therefore, you could easily send two policemen and would even entertain them. We're not fight, we would entertain. They came the same night with bus of police and so on. And if Hector did not go on Facebook,
I went on Facebook Live, and that's why they had to run away from.
That's why they left.
So why you do that to us? And I'm sure she have seen all this because a lot of leaders called me. Like I know leaders in Central called and see these sorry photos. And they couldn't believe that was happening in Dominica. So mayor must have seen those photos. And to come here now is saying that I will scary, kill you.
So that so our last word is from this.
And another thing, I don't think they have sent the regional forces to any of the other countries.
I'm not too sure on that.
I don't think so.
Well, I think
after Mario they were here, peacekeeping, but to come
peacekeeping.
To fight the people,
But what about what about Grenada?
That was
long.
And there was never no one.
Right, and
it was a coup. It was really neat,
there was a coup there. Okay, I see what you're saying.
When that happened, there was what the RSS wasn't existing. It's after Grenada.
Okay, I see.
It was formed as a peacekeeping force, and in terms of a disaster, they can assist. But they have an object. In their charter says you have to assess the situation before you take action.
Take action, and
yes. Before the OECS countries send their troops to any of the OECS countries, they should negotiate. They should find out, what is going on. Do some background checks. Don't just send them down to fight the people. Find out what they are going to do, and then you activate them. But in our case, it's always to tear the assaults, to kill us.
Shoot at you.
Live bullets.
Live bullets. Yeah.
And some of the guys got shot.
Yes.
And after that, I never thought they would be sending down troops again.
Right.
I was surprised to see they send down troops.
Can I say one more thing?
One more thing, Edward.
Because they charge us under old law, 18-something law, right? And that law was passed in England, mainly to affect black people. It was not a law for the whole of England because they saw us who were being pressured and racism and all of that as those who would retaliate. Right. And therefore they passed that law, old law. England have since then amended the law, and that law is still in our books. Okay, I didn't even know that law exists. And somebody sent me a clip of the law and the explanation of the law. And if you listen to the explanation of the law, it's a law that really a brutal law. I mean, if they say if you damage a property, while they're going to kill you, money you have to go to the property, and then you don't even have the right to ask for a priest or a pastor to come give you the last right. That's in the law, and that's the law they use to charge us. And me as a lawyer have not said that's a bad law. And she's on stage all about the place in international stages talking about situations in other countries. Where in our own region where black people like her is being victimized, come and support it by coming to a partisan. That's the
That's it. Folks, thank you all so much. This has been very, very enlightening. Oh my goodness, a wonderful afternoon, and the meal was splendid. And thank you for that ride. Listen, you delivered us from the mountains. Right? From the hills. Let me get an amen over there. Amen. Amen. Listen, when she got in that car and she felt that AC, my girl just rolled up the window and just, oh.
You can bring it down there.
Everybody is. Thank you. Thank you.
He's going to drop us off.
Thank you for yes.
That you're doing.
Yes, yes, yes. You're most welcome, and we're hoping that.
Yeah. Listen, you all. You all, we go, Dr. Ferdy, we go have to put out some prayers tomorrow morning, tonight and tomorrow morning. But I tell you, I'm just going to let you guys to give one comment, close out, and just to say to the people, we are continuing on Wednesday. This is not the end of this. This is going to be continued on Wednesday, y'all. Okay, so who is going to go first here?
Well, I'm going to let everybody else go because I don't want to start.
Oh, I will start then.
I don't want to start.
This was educational. Whew. Informative. Hot off the press.
Yes, and a lots of allegations, things as they said, I have to come back home and research. They said I must come home and investigate it because, as I said, I don't know. We don't have the facts on it. Some of it they're telling their opinions. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, the what I see is Barbados is held at a higher standard in the Caribbean, and Dominica feels like we've let them down, and I'm happy that this story is being told, and to the people of Dominica, I think I'm gonna have to say a personal apology, because we truly was unaware. I mean, there's a responsibility from journalism. We expect as a general public, as a civil society, that we have some journalists out here who are going to tell the truth or inform us of things. And we haven't heard from anyone. We haven't heard from anyone to say that this is happening, that our prime minister was involved in anything like this, and I feel disappointed, but at the same time, we hear you, Dominica, and as a sister nation, we love you, and this as a Barbadian, you know, I'm gonna apologize at this point. I'm gonna apologize, and we're wishing you the best.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Lewis.
I'm stunned. You know, I just can't believe it, you know. So they're shaking my head, you know, I ain't really catch myself yet. There's so many things that were said, you know, on this program tonight that still got me, you know, baffled. How could a leader sit down and don't ask a significant question? When I move Ross from Dominica to Barbados, how will it affect their gross domestic product? When the GDP of 35 to 40% because of Ross in Dominica, that move really impacted those folks. I mean, I must agree with Michelle. We must apologize, but I mean, this is news to me. I've been to Dominica. I enjoy Dominica. I just love Dominica. Salisbury is on the West Coast, Montrachet, all those on the West Coast. I just loved it there. But there I was in Dominica, being ignorant of all these things that were brought to the fore. I mean, there must be a part 2 and part 3 and maybe part 4 of this program, Marcia. So look out, because there's a whole lot to be said. One thing I want to see is that letter. You know, so Mr. Licks, make sure that you come as soon as possible to show us that letter. I am waiting on it. I ain't got much to say, more, Marcia, because I stunned. I'm stunned.
Yeah, yeah. Dr. Ferdinand, you have the last word here tonight. Before you give the last word, because it is going to be the last word, Wednesday night, I want you to invite others. If you're watching from St. Lucia, I want you to invite others to watch. Invite from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you have an elections coming up. Invite from Guyana, you have an elections coming up. And we know what the black Guyanese, how they feel about Mayor Motley. We need you guys to come together. Let us come together, folks. And I need you to share this. Share this live that you saw happen here tonight. When you finish, if you didn't get a chance to share it, send it out as many as possible and pray. Just pray. Okay? Go ahead, Dr. Ferdinand.
Well, I'll put it to you this way, Marcia. If ever I felt righteous indignation, I feel it tonight. And it's a good thing I'm not God. Because if I was, my response tonight would be catastrophic. It is a dereliction of duty. It's a betrayal of the chairmanship of this CARICOM. It is beyond description. It is, let me see the word I wrote here. It is the epitome of unethical conduct. If you wanted to have unethical conduct defined, we would have heard it tonight. And to have our Prime Minister, Chairman, interfering with the election processes in Dominica, this has been her operation. She stood in the United Nations and she attempted to interfere with Russia and Ukraine. She stood in the UN and attempted to interfere with Israel and Gaza and Hamas. And she's coming into the Caribbean with the same attitude. She will never sit as Secretary General of the UN because of her continuous interference. And I would say that the best thing that could happen for our Prime Minister is to be removed from office, to go into retirement. And I don't even want to say, I have to pray indeed for her. And I have to pray, Marcia, I really have to pray for mercy. I have to pray one of those David prayers. And I'm sure you understand what I mean. Because David's prayers was kill my enemies, but God, have mercy.
Yeah, we're not asking for anything like that.
Yeah. No, I said I would be tempted to do that, but
but you're not doing it. Yes.
No,
okay.
I can't, because
you can't,
the person that I serve doesn't permit me to engage that process. In spite of how we feel, he's always said, "Love your enemies," and so I in spite of how I feel, I will have to pray for her and pray that he has mercy when he begins to judge.
Yes. Thank you all for watching tonight, folks. Say a prayer before you go to bed tonight. Say a prayer for the people in Salisbury. Say a prayer for those in Barbados. Say a prayer for this show. Say a prayer for those that are in St. Vincent and the Grenadines going through something similar. Those in Guyana. This is a major issue throughout the region. Guys, let's pray. Let's pray. Let's pray. Let's pray for a beautiful country, Barbados, and beautiful Dominica. I love you all. Thank you, Dave Weeks. Thank you to Michelle, who went with me to Dominica. Thanks to your family, that grant you, gave you that blessing to go with me. And you know what I mean by family. And thank you to Mr. Lewis for being on tonight. And of course, my co-host here, Dr. Ferdinand Nichols, who does such an amazing job, and the team of the other panelists, Maxine McLean, who's not on here tonight, Glenn Murray, Rose Corbin, they were on tonight, but tonight we had another team on tonight. So we're just powerful, through God, and we love Barbados. God bless you all. Have a good night. See you on Wednesday.
Good night to everyone. Good night.
God
Great to
bless you.
see you, Michelle. God bless you.
Yes.
As
Bye-bye.
well, Victor. God bless. Bye-bye.
Yes. Go ahead, Dave. Run that track. Yeah, we're not hearing. Are you guys hearing?
No, I'm not hearing.
Yeah, we're not here. I guess it's so late. We'll do without it tonight. Folks, have a good night, and we will start with Spot the Light on Wednesday. All righty. God bless you all. Have a good night. Sleep well. Thank you, Dominica. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Bye-bye.